It's time for Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. The first hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome into Sports Time, a Monday, February 27th, 2023 edition of the show. I'm Bryant Dacus with Brett Norsworthy and Jay Morgan Harders. We're back from a busy weekend. Brett over in Arkansas had a trip down to Oxford this weekend. Brett, how'd that trip go?
It went well. Went to baseball on Saturday afternoon. Good afternoon,
good.
guys. Went to baseball on Saturday afternoon, 12-6 winner for the defending national champs, and then went to basketball that night. And, boy, LSU's really bad.
Yeah.
LSU's really bad. They're going to finish 14th in the SEC. They will be the 14th seed. Ole Miss will finish either 12 or 13 with that win. That's not very good. It's not very good when you only win 3 league games, and the head coach wasn't even there for one of them.
Yeah.
That's not a good sign. And then yesterday I was at FedEx Forum for the Tigers' win of the year.
Got a good one. That was a good game yesterday. It was comfortable for most of the day, and then those last couple minutes, Cincinnati made it close. So yeah, you got a couple good games this weekend.
And Brian, the last 2 Tigers home games, the home game against Cincinnati yesterday, and the home game against UCF, the previous home game, that was a week ago or 2 weeks before that on a Thursday night. That's as about as good a back-to-back home wins as I can remember. In that thrilling last-second white knuckle, everybody leaves happy and with a big sigh of relief. Those back-to-back, that was something the Tigers have really taken care of business down this stretch. There was a part early in the year, Brian, where the Tigers were rolling along, 5, 6, 7-2. Even after the win over Auburn to get to 8-2, and I openly I had my reservations about how good this team really is. Well, it shows that you can be a lot different team. What day was the Auburn game? Saturday, December 10th.
Yeah.
On February 27th, you can be a lot different team. You can get better as the year's gone along, and the Tigers have definitely done that. And what I think the development of Coach Penny Hardaway as the floor coach yesterday, going up against, I think, a young up-and-coming head coach
Absolutely.
in Wes Miller. I thought Penny Hardaway had a great day yesterday. His team had a great day. And now all the NCAA tournament stuff feels pretty comfortable with the roadie this week to SMU and then the season finale next Sunday afternoon. But yesterday showed something else too, Bryant. There's 2 halves.
Yeah.
There's the 20-minute first half, 20-minute second half. The first half was just about perfect. 2 turnovers in the first half, is that right?
Something close to that. It was very low. Jay, do you have that in front of you?
I don't. I'm finding it.
It was
Very few.
very
Very
few,
limited.
and a lot for Cincinnati. A big discrepancy in turnovers, and that's kind of what gave them that big lead early and a lot of confidence they were playing with because they were just turning Cincinnati over a lot. But I mean, I thought just a really good game, complete game by the Tigers. We kind of talked about the last couple minutes. Cincinnati comes back and it makes it close, but I thought that was a comfortable win yesterday.
I did too, and in charge most of the day, and it got down the final score. I don't think really indicative of the control the Tigers had the game in all day, but it did get very uncomfortable in the building. Oh my, and that wasn't the O was the first word. My really wasn't the second word when the bank shot went in. It was shades of Seton Hall with that one, but the Tigers, they were able to win and. Don't know when we'll see Cincinnati again. It could be a long time as a regular season opponent. But no, this week at SMU and then Sunday afternoon against Houston and win those 2. And I don't think there's any doubt the Tigers are firmly in. I even lose to Houston. And lose in the first round of the AAC they would be in. It is important, and now the Tigers are technically – technical to it. They would be the 2 seed right now. The tip times are a lot more conducive if you're the 2 rather than the 3.
Yeah, because the 3 is the 9 o'clock game, right?
That we know won't start on time.
No, that's closer to 9:30 than 9
and
o'clock.
And then you would be the second semifinal game on Saturday that would be, I think, 5-ish or so.
Yeah.
So being the 2 seed would be a lot better tip times for people going and people back in Memphis listening and watching and keeping up with it like we will be.
Yeah, and you're right. 2 turnovers for the Tigers in the first half. Villanova in the first half had 11. So, I mean, that kind of tells you – Cincinnati. That's what I meant. Cincinnati, 11 turnovers. So that kind of showed you how the first half really went, was just forcing a lot of turnovers. But I think you're – I mean, I hated that yesterday was the last game against Cincinnati, but I do hope that could be a series. Probably not in the next couple years, but maybe a few years down the line, Penny can get that as kind of like a yearly non-conference game, because I love this matchup with Memphis and Cincinnati.
And who knows, it could be a conference matchup, especially with the news this weekend, mostly out of Tallahassee, mostly out of Florida State, and, of course, football-driven, of their discontent in the ACC and their AD, who was hired fresh from the Alabama shop. And so he knows the finances of things and pretty much the way the direction of rights fees and payouts will go. FSU's talking immediate and just pay the fine for the grant of rights. Now, what I was told today by a well-placed SEC source was FSU and Clemson could be added to the SEC for sure, and North Carolina, Virginia, maybe to the Big Ten, and if the SEC wanted to get to 20 someday, add Virginia Tech and Miami. The ideal scenario would be around 2025. Not even sure if it can get done that fast, but it's not going to be when Texas and OU come in 2024, because, look, it's like out at the airport. Just so many planes can land at the same time. You got to clear a runway.
Well, and that'd be – even 2025 would be extremely quick turnaround.
I think very aspirational.
Yeah.
And with those years going by, the penalty, the payout to get the heck out of Dodge would start going down a little bit for FSU. But the ACC just sees where the fees and the money that they're going, and I hope that we would cap it someday, or it would max out someday. But I think the number that Big Ten and the SEC are playing for, eventually, I think it is 20.
I think you're right. I mean, it seems like it's going in that direction, and I mean, it just seems like every week we get new expansion talk and expansion news, and this is certainly massive, bigger than the kind of last expansion talk news we had with SMU to the Pac-12. I mean, this would be, not as big as Texas and OU joining, but it would be pretty close, just as big as those two moving from the Big 12 to the SEC.
Brian, you could argue bigger because with the OU Texas news, we didn't fear dissolution of conferences. With this one, just what would actually be what would the remnants look like, and what would the ACC be able to do if all this played out? But it sure feels like it's on that track, and the FSU AD. I mean, he was adamant. It was some pretty scathing quotes and innuendo directed at past leadership, present leadership of the ACC. And when you say things like that, you better have you a place to land. Now, quite ironic that FSU is out there like this, and I think it's long been real perceived as a natural to the SEC, but it was theirs when South Carolina got it. Yeah. They flat turned the SEC down then, and the SEC wasn't in scramble mode, but it was for Arkansas first and FSU second. And Bobby Bowden didn't want it. He didn't want that difficulty of year in, year out football scheduling, and they turned it down. Miami is really never. Miami wanted it badly then, and the SEC didn't want them. So FSU, some 30. Well, it's 31 years since they could have been in, and they probably won't be in for another 3 or 4. 35 years of thinking about it. Look what it got them.
I guess so, and if they can get in, then I guess it'd all be worth it. But I think you're right. I mean, OU in Texas is obviously huge just because of the name brand, the money associated with them. But you're right. If two were to leave the ACC and go to the SEC, and then two were to leave and go to the Big Ten, I mean, that the ACC, that really leaves them in shambles.
Yeah, and the Big Ten, everybody thinks potentially Oregon and maybe one more into there. So conference realignment, it's going to be a busy time of it. Usually it's kind of summertime fair, but you had that story. But it's March Madness time.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to concentrate on that, but we sure are going to concentrate on other things like the Grizzlies on Saturday night.
Big win for the Grizzlies. What can you not say about that win on Saturday? It was domination from the Grizz and a really kind of what you wanted to see after that loss to the 76ers, a bounce back at home. We've seen that they're a great team at home. I think it's now just kind of turning it on when you're on the road.
Yeah, wanted our old Grizzlies back.
Yeah,
and sure didn't have that. Philly, a tough opponent at Philly. Road trip to play that quality team, and they're going to be in that 3-team mix for 2 spots in late May in the East. And there's going to be a really good team left out of that. How good a team's going to be left out in the West? We feel like Denver's going to be in. The rest of those teams, and we're going to watch it. We think the Grizzlies are good, but I don't think they're as good as one of the teams that's going to be left out of the East.
Yeah, the East has played some good basketball all season. I think you're right. I mean, with kind of just they've got 5 or 6 teams that you could, maybe not 5 or 6, but 4 or 5 that you could realistically say has a chance to make it all the way. So, yeah, I think the East, you're going to have a pretty powerful team left out. The West, I don't know, though. We could get a late push here from some of these teams after the trade deadline. You see them get better. I don't know. It's a good question.
The push we're waiting for, the Lakers now, the 12th place Lakers, just like that.
Wow. Clockwork.
But
moving up.
Even in the loss column, that loss column is fun to watch in the West. I mean, that thing stays TikTok. We also had our Tiger bankroll over the weekend. Jay Morgan Harder, another tough loss for you after your flip-flop against Wichita State. That really started the snag for you.
Well, see, but I got a trick up my sleeve, Brett. I talked about it with you a minute ago. You just got to trust me here.
Huh?
You just got to trust me.
Right.
I got a trick up my sleeve.
You go run some trickeration on it. But here's the real deal. We're playing in Bryant's little world.
Yeah,
we're just out there. I mean, we're just satellites bounding around out there in the galaxy of Bryant's world. Bryant wins again. He had Cincinnati yesterday plus the 5.5. He moves to 22-7 on the year, picking Tiger basketball games against the spread. That's 76%.
It's been a good year. Just got to finish it off right. Just got to land that plane.
Got to land the airplane.
My
soft landing.
Suit, yeah, my strong suit is landing aircraft, so I think it should be pretty easy.
You're up 17-50, Jay Morgan, with the loss yesterday. He's at 675. Hey, I won.
Hey.
$80 for the year.
But that's 2 wins in a row, right? Or 3?
It is 2 wins.
in a row. All right,
and
on the right track.
That feels like DiMaggio's 56-game hit streak.
It's been a rough season for you, Brett. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, I'm just trying to hang on to keep it viable and keep the segment going.
That's right. You run out of money, you're completely done.
You're out.
You don't want that, and you've come awfully close to that a couple times.
Ooh. The money management's been an issue, hasn't it?
Well,
I'm 12-17, and that's exactly what the Tigers are this year against the spread. 12-17. Vegas has had a handle on the Tigers all year. And late in that game yesterday, when it first felt like here comes the serious Cincinnati comeback, it wasn't the Cincinnati comeback to win the game. I never felt like the Tigers were going to fully give up that lead. But I thought, here it comes to be right around the Vegas number.
Yeah. Well, and
they don't miss by much, do they?
Well, and that's the same thing that happened with Wichita State. I mean, it was a super close game, and then late, free throws, that sort of thing, gets them over the edge. So, I mean, you're right. Vegas has been completely on top of any and every Tiger game this season.
I will go back and figure it, but out of 29 Tiger games, down to a three-pointer, one made three-pointer would be a difference in what? 20 games late in the game? Boy, they've
there.
been close. They've really been close.
They've been right on top of it all season. But let me set up today's show before we get into top and not top story of the day. At 3:30, we'll get back into this Tiger conversation, talk about the game against Cincinnati and what's next for them before they start AAC Conference tournament play. At 3:45, we'll talk about the Grizzlies and their win over Denver. 4 o'clock, David Cobb from CBS Sports will join us to talk some college basketball, and we'll probably get his thoughts on this Florida State situation as they try to get over to the SEC. 4:30, we'll talk to Shelby Mass from BracketWag.com about his updated bracket, where he has the Tigers and where he has some of the other teams on his bracket. At 4:45, we'll do big number of the day. 5 o'clock, we'll get back into the Grizzlies and NBA conversation. 5:30, we'll do what's trending. And at 5:45, we'll wrap it up like we always do with Taco Bell Crunch Time. We're sitting in the Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. They've already started their preseason patio and pool sale. Buy now and save big with the area's largest selection of patio furniture. Pool season is just around the corner, so buy now and get ahead of the summertime rush with their early bird pricing. Free layaway and special financial available through them. Be ready to enjoy that backyard as soon as spring hits. I was sitting outside today. That weather is already starting to feel like spring, so get out there and mention this ad to get half off delivery and installation. That's Family Leisure, 2120 Witten Road, just north of I-40.
What a great deal. And thank you so much, Family Leisure. Good job, Brian. And yesterday I was thinking, driving home from the Tiger game, 2 weeks ago yesterday was the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
2 weeks from yesterday, Selection Sunday.
Wow.
How'd all this hit at once?
Who knows? I mean, the sports world knows how to make a calendar.
It really does. In 2 days from now, it will be March Madness. It started for me last week. It officially started today with conference tournament play, campus sites in the ASUN. This hour of our show brought to you every day by our title sponsor, the one and only Lexus dealership in town, and that is Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-334-9673 for any service inquiry. Great offers on all 2023 models and always special leasing options. Driving luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at the one and only Lexus dealership in town at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2023 flagship LS500. You'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
My top story of the day is the Tigers' victory over Cincinnati. It was the most important game of the season, and now the SMU game becomes the most important game of the season. But a 76-73 victory, it was not that close throughout the game. Memphis pretty much dominated from start to finish. A couple of late turnovers, a couple late made baskets by Cincinnati got them in a wild shot from lock-in with only about 20 seconds left in the game to kind of move them within 3. But just a great performance. It was the Kendrick Davis, DeAndre Williams show. Again, Kendrick led the team with 22 points, but 8 for 22 from the field, 0 for 5 from 3. DeAndre Williams, 21 points, 10 for 18 from the field. And everyone else was just kind of playing a supporting role. The leading scorer behind Kendrick and DeAndre Williams, Demarie Franklin with only 9 points. So it was really those two. We've kind of talked about it all season, how big they've been for the Tigers this season. The Tigers, they wouldn't be in this position without Kendrick and DeAndre, and they showed why Sunday afternoon.
And it was a great win. I'm right there with you. My top story, Grizzlies win of the year on Saturday at FedEx Forum, and Tigers win of the year on Sunday at FedEx Forum. It's win of the year time of year, especially for college basketball, but also for the Grizzlies to get that good groove back, get our old Grizzlies back. The last 2 Tigers home games, I think, were as thrilling of finishes and back-to-back home wins in a long time. I don't want to say ever, but in a long time, to have that feeling in the building, that good feeling around Tiger basketball, and to get those 2 wins. The Tiger basketball program has the storied history. It does. Man, if the Grizzlies go on to a good playoff run, that late February win over Denver, I think that one will be remembered. That's one that you can circle. Okay, that's the one everything got recalibrated. That's the one where we kind of reset everything. For the Tigers, I think you can be looking back to this late February push of a lot of close games that should hold them up well come NCAA tournament times, when you know in that last minute when they go to the studio and they throw it out to that game, it's going to be a one-possession game, make or stop getting drawn up by the coach, but great wins over Saturday and Sunday for the Grizzlies and the Tigers.
Not top story of the day.
For my not top story of the day, I'm going to stick right there with the Grizzlies, the 112-94 win over Denver. And like you said, I mean, it was really like having the old Grizzlies back. I mean, we've kind of struggled into the All-Star break, won the game before All-Star break, then come out and kind of really a heartbreaking loss in Philadelphia, a game that I think a lot of Grizzlies thought that they should have won, but just couldn't secure the win late. But 4 of the starters finish in double figures. Ja led the team with 23 points. Off the bench, Tyus Jones, 6 for 12 and 5 for 10 from 3, finished with 17 points. Luke Kennard added 4 triples and 12 points. So, I mean, that's really kind of the Grizzlies you want to start seeing. The Luke Kennard game. It was, you talk about how the team will remember that. Luke Kennard, they'll remember that as the Luke Kennard game.
And yesterday, I was talking with people at the Tiger game, and I think especially for college sports, but even for the pros, there is nothing like confidence.
Mm-hmm.
When you get that confidence to go do it again, experience and confidence is what I said I think is a real key around college basketball at this time of year. But even for the pros, to see that ball go through the net for Luke Kennard, it can unlock a lot. My not top story, Nate Oates doesn't know one thing going on around his program, does he? He never knows. He comes off as a huge airhead, but I think that's deliberate. I think he wants to come off and say, I don't know what's going on around here, when we know that's utter rot. Mm-hmm. When we know those guys practically know bowel movements of their players. They know everything going on. It comes as no surprise to them, but then they want that shield of, I'm just ahead. I don't know what's going on in pregame. I'm over drawing up plays. Mm-hmm. You're drawing up plays in pregame? Really? What the play out of the tip? If you win the tip, you're drawing that up. I think that was probably done in the walkthrough, don't you?
Probably.
Or should be done. It's as tone deaf as anything I've ever seen. And how many more, I don't know what's going on around my programs, can he take?
Not a lot. I mean, one should have been enough. You'd think after that he would keep an eye on everything. But, it's starting to become a lot.
And he knows nothing. Now, I am going to defend this. The SEC announced their player of the week this week. If Brandon Miller, what do you got to do to be player of the week?
Yeah.
He averaged 32 last week.
That's a good point. Who was it?
So, Oscar Sheboy.
Oh, I see him.
Okay, if you just don't want to give it to him, then why is he playing? If you're uncomfortable with him as a storyline, then why is he playing?
Yeah.
We know why he's playing. We know at Alabama, if Nate Oates had suspended him for one half of one game, the whole team would have quit.
Yep.
The whole team would have quit en masse. They would have had no team. And then the repercussions out there in the underworld of recruiting, do you ever be able to recruit like that again?
Yeah.
I think what Alabama has done to itself. So if you can't give a guy player of the year or player of the week status after averaging 32, if we're supposed to have amnesia, not think about anything else, how are you going to give him MOP of the Final Four?
How are you going to give him Freshman of the Year for the SEC?
How are you going to give him? That's right, Brian.
And you talk about averaged 32 points a game this week, but also hit a shot to send a game into overtime and hit a game-winning shot in that same game. So
he was the difference in them not going 0-2 on the floor. So if we're supposed to keep it on the floor, why wasn't he rewarded?
You're absolutely right, and it brings up all those other questions of if you can't do it for Player of the Week, when can you do it?
And it's very, very uncomfortable for them. You just wonder in the inner sanctum of the SEC office, they want Bama to lose early in the NCAA tournament.
I mean, it would help them a lot from a PR standpoint. And
I've got this pronouncement to make. I have now decided that, barring injury, of course that could change things. I have two teams that I think will be opposite bracket of each other.
Okay.
That I will advance as far as I can advance them until they potentially meet before I decide who I'm going to move on past that when I actually have the bracket in my hand 2 weeks from today. We will be talking.
Be here before you know
who
it.
you got in the 6-11 game. And, we will be talking that. I have decided right now, except for injury, I sure can change. I'm moving Houston as far as I can move them, and I'm moving UCLA as far as I can move them. And how about them being slided today in the coaches poll because the coaches don't like Mick Cronin?
Yeah, coaches don't really like Mick Cronin, but he's a great coach, and he has a great team this year. But I think that's more than fair to have those two teams go as far as you can because
I've got those two going that far. I didn't mind the stumble on fur. It's kind of as far as they go.
Yeah.
They going. I can't do it with Alabama because I don't know the next bombshell.
Yeah, I mean, it's with that situation, you never know what next twist or turn it's going to make. I mean, it just seems like every day you're waiting for new news on it. So
can't do it with Purdue.
No,
Don't really trust them. Can't do it with Tennessee.
Nope.
Morgan.
Sorry,
I can't. But the player back from injury Saturday made a lot of difference.
Yeah.
And y'all both, especially Jay Morgan, you've been sitting on that one on the final your breakup with Tennessee. You've been sitting on that.
Yeah.
That's been my defense the whole time. It's the only thing I can hang my hat on.
So we'll see. Now, it also helped playing South Carolina, but
well, you 40-pieced them
yeah,
now.
that's true.
But confidence.
That's right.
I'm telling you, this time of year, we know in the sports world that experience and confidence and that feeling of, and the Tigers have gotten that. The Tigers right now, I'm not saying they could beat anybody. I'm not saying they're going to go to the Final Four. But bring it on playing them because we know they've stayed on the floor with Houston and Bama, and that's the top of the heap of the sport.
When Jay Morgan said it multiple times the past couple of weeks about winning close games, and the Tigers continue to win close games, and that's going to do a lot for them come conference tournament time and NCAA tournament time.
Two odd compliments yesterday at FedEx Forum. I know we got to hit a break, and I'm filibustering.
I love odd compliments.
I'm gonna be the one that I'm gonna be mad at me for running late because you know that's the bane of my existence.
Sure is.
Two odd compliments. Guy came up to me and said, "Hey, they can get on this roll. They can win these last three, and they can win the three at Dickies, and they can get down to a 6 seed." And another guy, a total stranger, came up to me and asked me where I get my hair cut, and he said he really liked how my hair was styled.
I like it too. I mean, that's a great compliment.
Okay. All right.
I mean, he saw the back of your head. He was watching
Keep
the
the cards
game.
and letters coming. Thank you.
Man, that's a great looking head. I think it's a great compliment.
There's a lot going on right here, though. I mean, but I don't know if I've ever been complimented on my haircut, my hairdo.
I guess now you can say you have.
And the guy was serious. I said, when anybody gives you a compliment, say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you and move on. But let's get to our first break. When we come back, we'll jump back into this Tiger conversation, talk about that win against Cincinnati, and what's next. That's next on Sports Time.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hi, folks. Bob Burkhardt, Sunrise Buick GMC Truck. Thinking about a new or used car or truck and not sure where to get the most for your money? Listen to what Sunrise has to offer. Over 800 new Buicks and GMCs to choose from with factory rebates up to $1,000 and $15 million used car inventory, specializing in cars and trucks under $15,000. Bad credit, bankrupt, slow pay, it's okay. At Sunrise, we specialize in secondary finance. The #1 volume Buick GMC dealer in the Mid-South and home with a guaranteed credit approval. Sunrise, Covington Pike, Wolf Chase, and Collierville.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home at Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch has an offer you can't refuse. They will pay you to do business with them if you want luxury. And I'm talking the Genesis G70 car. If you would love to have that kind of new technology, they will give you a $1,000 rebate when you finance with Genesis Motor Finance. In other words, they'll pay you $1,000 to do business with them, and you get brand new luxury. You can't beat it. That's Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis, right at the corner of Craft Road and Highway 78 in Olive Branch. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch, where customer retention is amazing. There's a reason. They take care of you with a team that's been together for a long time. Whether it's finance or whether it's service, you can't beat them. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis. I know the sweetest thing in Memphis, and I know it's been around for 120 years. You know, I'm talking about Dinstall's, and it's time to stock up heavy on Cashew Crunch, Heavenly Crunch, Turtlettes, all of your favorite Dinstall's treats to watch the playoff games and to watch all the basketball. It's so easy to get. The sweetest thing in Memphis, all you have to do is head to Laurelwood or head to Germantown and Poplar right across from the hospital, or go where they make the candies. That's on Pleasant View. There's nothing that says Memphis better than Cashew Crunch with that little tinge of coconut, or the Turtlettes. Let's face it, there's nothing better than Dinstall's chocolate. That's the mainstay of all candies, isn't it? Milk, chocolate, although their dark chocolate is pretty darn good. And if you get the peppermint with the dark chocolate and put it in the freezer, you're going to love it. So many ways to love Dinstall's. 115 years of making Memphis oh so sweet.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant Dacus, Brett Norsworthy, Jay Morgan Harder with you. And we talked a lot about the Tigers' victory in the first segment. We're going to continue there. But the biggest controversy of the day, and Brett, I don't know if you saw much of this because you were actually at the game, but I guess Joe Lunardi was either on the broadcast or they threw up a graphic from the broadcast. And if you'd remember the last game against Wichita State, Joe Lunardi said that if the Tigers go 2-2 the rest of the way, they're in the bracket. Well, they beat Wichita State. That would mean they just need one more win to be on the safe side of the bracket for Joe Lunardi. On Sunday, he either goes onto the broadcast or there was a graphic. I wasn't really paying attention early in the game, and said that the Tigers need to win 2 more games to be safe in his bracket. So a lot of people were upset with that because before he had said they just need to win 2 more, and now he says they need to win 2 more.
Old trickeration, moving the goalposts from Joe Brackett.
Move it back.
Now look, I've met him a time or two. He used to do Didn't he used to be on St. Joseph's games locally?
I think
Wasn't
so.
he the analyst on St. Joe games?
That
So I was at an NC
something.
tournament one year, and he was there. And St. Joe's got they've got the hawk that's always moving.
He never stops flapping during the games. That's right.
Yeah, between that and Joe Lenardi, it was. I think I was in Birmingham one year, 08 or so. I think I was covering Tennessee while everybody else was in North Little Rock at the Tigers game.
Right.
But anyway, nice man, carved a great niche.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. I mean,
it's super
we're gonna
hard.
have Shelby Mast in about an hour,
Mm-hmm.
and those guys they want to be right. I also, you have to think they also don't. Their incoming on DMs and text replies and other things are probably over the top.
Yeah.
So I don't know why he would do that. I'm looking at kind of his latest Monday afternoon update, and he has the Tigers as one of the last four in. I took a scan at Jerry Palm, because he's a colleague of our guest at 4 o'clock.
Yep.
David Cobb, the Tigers are firmly in there. Shelby Mast with USA Today and BracketWag.com, that will be our guest at 4:30, firmly in there. So, if the Tigers lost to SMU, that would certainly re-kilter a lot, wouldn't it? We'd change
absolutely
a lot of conversation then, but I don't see that happening. It could be close. It could be, heck, it was close at FedEx Forum for too long.
Yeah.
Only beat them by 14.
Yeah.
Scored 99 against them.
Whew.
But I don't think the Tigers are going to lose Thursday night at Moody. And Sunday, what of it? One way or the other. I mean, you could lose by 19.
Yeah.
I don't think it affects much, does it?
I don't think so. But I don't really mind him changing kind of the two, you need to go 2-2, now you need to win 2 more. Just because, I mean, that whole job revolves around everything happening in college basketball. And when Arizona State beats, a top 10 Arizona team
From midcourt,
I mean, that changes things. And there were a lot of results like that. There's always results like that. They're going to change
things. Have you heard
things.
the play-by-play call of that?
I have.
The analyst loses his mind.
Loses it. It was an unreal shot. It was unbelievable.
Sounded like me in Little Rock in 2012 at the buzzer, game-winning field goal.
Well, it was a great shot. But speaking of Jerry Palm, did you see who he has Memphis playing in his updated bracket?
I did. I saw a Kentucky matchup.
A 7-10 versus Kentucky.
Does that frighten you?
Kinda. I mean,
Why?
Oscar Tshiebwe.
Okay.
But outside of that, I mean,
I run Dandridge at him.
Yeah.
All right, a 40 minutes on Tshiebwe. I want 20 minutes of Dandridge on him.
Mm-hmm.
I can live with 6 to 8 minutes of KO on him. Run a little DeAndre Williams at him.
yeah. I mean, it doesn't. There are.
And Kentucky's getting hot too.
Kentucky is getting hot.
Kentucky's getting hot.
But there are other matchups I've seen. Shelby Mast has Memphis playing TCU. I would not want to play TCU. I think they're a really, really good team. So,
but not fear.
No.
Recognition, respect of both Kentucky and TCU being good teams, well coached, but not. Oh no, just no need to even go play.
I mean, this is by far
not even close.
No, I mean, if you take every single tournament team Kentucky's had, this would be the team I'd say let's go, let's play them.
All right, last year we were all looking at the bracket and going, all right, get by Boise and then Gonzaga.
Mm-hmm.
That was fear.
That was fear.
That was fear, and
100%.
Look what happened.
Yeah, it was a close game, very competitive game. So yeah, no, I mean, I'm not afraid of Kentucky. I'm not really afraid of anybody that the Tigers would have to play in the first or second round in this tournament, just because I think this NCAA tournament's completely wide open. But it would be fun to play Kentucky in the tournament, I think.
Wouldn't it? I don't know what the local TV rating would be. I don't know if that'd be Channel 3 or TBS or whatever it was, but if it's Channel 3,
look out.
That's what they dream of.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It would be great. It would be get people
Any
talking.
time of day. What time of day ideal would you want? Would you want it right out of the gate, one of those kind of 11 o'clock windows, the mid-afternoon, the early night session, or the late one to take it to the rack with?
Give me an early night game.
Give me that 6:10.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Let me get some dinner in front of me.
Right after our show, and we can
Exactly.
talk about it. Well, I don't know. We may be carrying NCAA tournament in the afternoon.
point.
I don't know.
Well, that's what I said, Brett, is I found out, I don't know what I found out doing this, and I've only worked here a year, but in that year I've discovered that it's a lot easier to talk about games after they're over than it is to talk about them while they're going on.
Yes.
That is a really good perception. That's a great take. Well, see, right there shows you've learned a lot in your job.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, MVP.
No,
right
in
there.
that year, you've been employed for a year, but you've worked 3 years in that year.
Also true.
Well, that's how you learn a lot, though.
That's right.
You know, you learn a little more that
I
way.
think you get great takes like that right there.
That's right.
That's why we have
No,
him around.
Look, I tell everybody up front, I like what's good for the sports business,
Yep.
good for the Tigers, good for the Grizzlies, good for the SEC around here, good for whatever it is to make it popular. That would do it. On most of these brackets, the potential's there for something really local. You see that with Kentucky with
Yep.
Jerry Palm. You also see a potential beat this one and maybe run into Tennessee, maybe the Arkansas thing. I know over the weekend, who had in a first-round game, like in Des Moines, Arkansas and Memphis? Somebody over the weekend, but it moves fast.
Yeah, super, especially this time of the year. It's constantly changing. Everything's changing.
Jay Morgan, I'm gonna give you yet another task. Follow these conference tournament games, and we want like the crazy radio call the next day, kind of like Arizona State was. You don't have to find that one today, but maybe starting about Tuesday or Wednesday, if we hear somebody that just goes nuts, and the poor engineers trying to modulate that with everybody screaming.
It's always the best.
And the thing about it, whoever's listening at home, like the Arizona State broadcast, they knew they had won and they're happy.
Yeah.
They don't care what they're saying. They don't care if you're screaming and hollering and losing your mind.
That's true.
Brett, I'll take it a step further for you. If there's a really big play, like you're saying, that happens, one that'll live in the annals of history forever, I'll get you multiple calls, and we'll decide which gets to
one's the
accompany
best?
the film for the rest of time. We get to decide that.
Oh, that's great.
And then, like on bad beats, the other side.
Ooh.
Oh, the somber. But you have an obligation as a broadcaster, even for the home team, to echo the excitement in the gym, even if you have to fight through your own pain and misery, I think.
Yeah. That day at Little Rock, it's legendary in our crew. Beating Arkansas means a lot to me. And when Arkansas wins, okay, congratulations, you win. It stings. But that day, Little Rock, last second field goal to win the game, and we all go crazy. But I'm still going crazy when we come back from the break. And David had to turn around and go, all right, that's enough. Settle
Calm down.
I've got to be around these people at basketball and baseball. Be nice.
Oh, that's funny. That's a good one. Lives on in history.
David Kellum, the most gracious victor out there.
Yeah. David Kellum, he's
Never
good.
met David Kellum, but I feel like I know him with all the Ole Miss
Yeah,
games we
really.
run up here. I feel like David Kellum and I are kindred
Yeah, we're
spirits
like
at this point.
that. I mean,
Nicest man in Mississippi.
That's great.
Whew. So we were talking about the conference tournament. A-Sun starts today with a pair of games. I'm excited about those. Queens, our Queens team is in action tonight.
Who knew? Queens University of Charlotte, QUOC.
There you go. I say take QUOC.
That almost sounds like the traffic station in old days. You turn it on QUOC to see the traffic around the airport.
QUOC in Cincinnati. No,
There
that's
you go.
something different, I think. I'm so excited for the A-Sun tournament tonight. I already did some handicapping this morning for those games, and I'll tell you right now, Bellarmine plays North Florida. North Florida's favored by 3. I took them, and one of my stats I have for you, this isn't my big number, this is just a stat for you. Bellarmine 0-2 in their last 2 games against teams with North in the name.
Can I tell you a secret?
Please.
You got that -3 this morning?
Yeah.
I got it at -2.5.
Wow.
Right before the start of the show.
So we're on the right side.
Get on it right now.
On the right side.
I like both of those games tonight in Atlanta. I think pretty good teams.
Yeah, and for Queens, this conference tournament is their NCAA tournament because they can't go there. So you go
I'll
out
call
and try
my
to
shot
win it.
now. In an hour, my big number will be something to do with all these conference tournaments.
Really?
I love them.
Oh, man. I can't get enough of them. And towards the end of this week is really when it's going to start firing up a lot of those small conferences. And then next week we'll get the big-time conferences.
And I love the commissary, either location, the new Collierville commissary at Houston, Levy, and Poplar, or the original in Germantown. As I said Friday, I was out there for an extended stay on Friday afternoon. We almost lost track of time, and it was time to get to work. Perfect for a large group. I told you Friday was a big group in there. You could hear applause coming from a speaker there. That's the perfect place for that kind of get together, whatever it is, whether it's like the insurance club of Memphis or an accounting club or legal get together. Perfect place for a large group is at the new Collierville commissary. And if you're craving an easier way to order, text commissary to 33733. Here's a group that can get together, your team. Get your group together to watch ball games there, because the weather today and the weather coming up, it's time to get out to the party areas at the commissary. Start that feast with the great appetizers like the cheese plate or the nachos or the tamales, the smoked chicken wings, the nachos invented at the mainstay, the Germantown commissary in the early 80s. That's where it started for Walker Taylor in 1981, and it continues today. Dig into the ribs or the shoulder, chopped or pulled on a sandwich on a plate, the slow-cooked way, the Memphis way, at the commissary. All the sides, beans, slaw, deviled eggs, bread as well. You can order it by the pound or a 6-pack or an 8-pack or a 12-pack. And the desserts like the strawberry cake, the lemon icebox pie, the banana pudding. Call 901-754-5540 or go online at commissarybbq.com. In Collierville and Germantown, those party areas for all this conference tournament action to watch and enjoy, and to get that food for all the games, catering, tailgating, and always time for the commissary. At the Collierville commissary at Houston, Levy, and Poplar, or the original in Germantown.
Let's get to a break. When we come back, we'll switch gears, talk about the Grizzlies and their win over Denver. That's next.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch us daily with live video of all of our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Brian Elder Roofing, 867-0303. You've known the name for 30 years. You might even remember him from nearly 20 years on Kix 106 as half of the Young and Elder Show. Now, 13 years later, Brian Elder is the largest purchaser of Owens Corning shingles in Memphis. Call him right now, 867-0303. Certified and trained by Owens Corning to earn a reputation for quality and expertise matched by no one. Don't let them tell you it has to be replaced when all it needs is a repair. Call right now, 867-0303. He'll climb every inch of your roof. He'll go into your attic and run a moisture and ventilation test using state-of-the-art equipment to make certain you're protected from mold and other contaminants. You may be causing respiratory problems for your family and not even know it. We're waiting for your call, 867-0303 or brianelderroofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Plumbing is now currently hiring all positions. If you're ready to take your career to the next level, please apply today. Choate's is offering huge sign-on bonuses to seasoned technicians, plumbers, installers, and air duct cleaners. At Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Plumbing, we offer a career, not just a job, by putting you in a paid training program to develop your technical and customer service skills to best serve our customers. Choate's offers top pay in the Mid-South, weekly pay, paid vacation and holidays, company matching retirement account, health, dental, vision, and life insurance, and Christmas, Thanksgiving, and birthday bonuses. If this sounds like an exciting opportunity for you, then we should talk. So call us at 347-8086 or apply online at choateshvac.com under the careers link. Come, join our family.
So you need to sell your house? I have the solution. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill at I Buy Houses. Any house, any area, as is. It's literally as simple as that. Just pick up your phone. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill at I Buy Houses. Guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your house fast, call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses.
Celebrating Living Legends of Black History, brought to you by Charmin. Back in a moment.
We all gotta go, right?
But why not enjoy the go with Charmin? You need something soft and long-lasting? Well, they got you with Charmin Super Mega Rolls. Charmin knows softness counts when wiping your hiney. Charmin is irresistibly soft and more absorbent, so you can use less. Now, I don't know about you, but my family can run through some toilet paper, but not with Charmin and their long-lasting Super Mega Rolls. We all go, so why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
With a warm, genial presence and a wise, authoritative demeanor, Morgan Freeman has been the perfect fit to play presidents and even gods. He began performing in school plays at age 12, but it was by age 50 when he won his first Oscar nomination for Street Smart and later an award for $1 Million Baby. Morgan Freeman remains one of the most respected and beloved figures in modern U.S. cinema, celebrating living legends of Black history with Charmin.
It's here, Mid-South, the last call. Special editions honoring the end of an era with Dodge Challenger and Dodge Charger and the last of the legendary Hemi engines that power them. Up to 808 horsepower and heritage colors. B5 blue, plum crazy purple, and sublime green. At Gossett's got 'em more than anyone in 300 miles. So come by and take a look at these bad boys. Plus, celebrate the President's Day sales event with 2022 Jeep Renegade Latitude 4x4, $398 a month. Or get 2022 Dodge Charger SXT, $449 a month. Savings everywhere at Gossett, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram, Fiat. But if you can't find exactly what you want, let Gossett order it today. So drive past the rest and come to the best. Gossett on the Pike or shop online. GossettMotorcars.net.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
3,500 cash down, 75 months at 4.99 APR. Renegade NPN 96688, MSRP 32,880. Charger NN 246,270, MSRP 35,630. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695 excludes tax, title, and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 2/28/2023. Dealer stock only.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back to Sports Time as we wrap up the first hour on this Monday, February 27th. We've talked a lot about the Tigers, but now we'll get into the Grizzlies and their win over Denver, a 112-94 win in their first home game since the All-Star break. And Brett, you said it earlier, it really seemed like this was the old Grizzlies coming back.
The Grizzlies we've missed, and it was led by 23 from Ja Morant, and it was early and wrapped up quickly.
Yeah.
They really jumped on Denver and kind of had that one coming. Are you seeing all the interaction on Twitter with George Karl at the Grizzlies, the former Nuggets head coach, picking at the Grizzlies and some of the things they're saying? Look, we know the Grizzlies. We know the Grizzlies have talked a lot of talk. And I think in January he kind of declared, too early for the talking. Well, isn't it a little early to declare Denver in the NBA Finals?
Yeah, a lot can happen. A lot can happen.
Sure can. And Saturday night it was all Grizzlies and real good team effort. When I say it was all Grizzlies, it wasn't much from Jaren Jackson Saturday night.
No.
But it was a lot from Ja Morant and other players. And it just showed that to get Steven Adams back, this team still has a lot they can reach down and get out of. But here comes Sacramento, and their game was that Friday night, the 176-175.
Yes, it was.
I was hoping for another overtime and get to two bills in a game.
Ooh, that would have been something.
And I think the defenses were so exhausted that they would have.
It probably would have. I wouldn't be surprised at all. I mean, it already got up that much. I'm sure it'd get to 200. But yeah, I'm looking at the George Karl tweets now.
And I like George Karl a lot.
Yeah, but tweeted Grizzlies are talking a lot. The Nuggets are just winning a lot. And then that was back in January. And then after the game, tweeted a lot of at Mim Grizz fans chirping about last night's game. It's cute. Kids, you will learn that the only games that matter start in April.
Okay, well, April or January.
Yeah, I mean, why talk now if the games don't matter until April? I mean,
and he had the starter pistol out and fired it in January.
Yeah, that is interesting. But you're right, not a lot from Jaren Jackson last night. Finished with 7 points. I really liked. I mean, obviously you saw kind of the whole bench play just because of the margin of victory, but I did like to see kind of Tyus. I know there was a little concern about Tyus Jones the last couple of weeks, but 17 points, made 5 threes, and then kind of that Luke Kennard kind of continuing to get comfortable in his role with the Grizzlies with 4 threes and 12 points. I thought those were both really good to see.
And I wasn't there. I was in Oxford at Ole Miss and LSU, but was texting with people in the building, and they said early the building was as right as it's been all year.
Good.
That Grizzlies fans were ready for that one. And I think kind of sensing that the Grizzlies need it. Now, tomorrow night, the biggest show in the sport comes to town.
Yeah.
I think they arrived this afternoon after staying in Dallas last night. And now the injury to LeBron James to the foot that you saw and even could hear with some parabolic mics near court, I heard it pop.
Yeah, that's scary, especially with kind of the histories he's had in the past. But it's still going to be a tough test for playing that Lakers team, a Lakers team that we are kind of seeing starting to improve and get better game by game.
And we didn't laugh. We just questioned. Jay Morgan Harder, I think, was first to say, keep an eye on the Lakers. They're not at this. Now, at first, I thought he meant winning the regular season, being the 1 seed. You know, what Jay Morgan was talking about was, speak for yourself, but getting seeding right and being a really, really tough out.
Yeah, I think they'll make the playoffs, or I should say the postseason, because people have a discrepancy on what they call the playoffs. But I think they'll make the postseason, and just as tough as anybody else. In the same way you look at these teams, the Clippers have, they have other things too, but they have Kawhi and Paul George. The Mavericks have Kyrie and Luka Doncic. Anthony Davis and LeBron are just as scary of a matchup if I'm looking at a team, if I'm coaching a team or playing on a team and looking who I might match up with. I don't want to face them either. They're going to be a tough out, certainly. Unfortunately, though, I also said I think the Thunder can make that play-in spot, and it looks like right now it's not going to be both the Thunder and the Lakers in there. It has to be one or the other, and the Thunder might just be a little bit away. They're a little bit young, but they're a really good team as well, and either one of them I'd be content with making that play-in.
And the ever-sliding Pelicans, now 1 under 500, the only Western Conference team in action tonight. No West versus West games. That's Magic at Pelicans, and then 3 East versus East games tonight.
Yeah, so it will be interesting to see kind of how it plays out with this new look West, and we're kind of seeing some of those teams really turn it on in this second half of the season. But let's get to a break. When we come back to start the 4 o'clock hour, David Cobb from CBS Sports will join us. That's next.
Are you looking to lease a commercial space for your business? Call Stephen Hoffman. Are you a landlord looking to have your space leased? Call Stephen Hoffman. Maybe you're looking to buy or sell commercial real estate. If so, you want a professional broker looking out for your best interest, and that broker is Stephen Hoffman with Myers Commercial Real Estate. Stephen is a Memphis native who knows his market well and only works the commercial side of real estate. He works for a great firm that has been locally owned and operated in Memphis for almost 40 years. Whether representing tenants, landlords, or investors alike, you are sure to get great market analysis, access to on and off market listings, and a tough negotiator on your behalf. Call 901-761-5595 and ask for Stephen Hoffman. You can also find him on the web at MyersCRE.com. That's MYERSCRE.com. Stephen Hoffman with Myers Commercial Real Estate. Representing your real estate business is his business. Call Stephen Hoffman.
Both 650 acquisition fee, 30,000 miles, 20 cents excess mileage, Forte LXS, PE 581,756, MSRP 21,985, Sorrento PG 183,422, MSRP 23,405. Includes all rebates and incentives, must finance through Hyundai, excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 2/28/23 with approved credit. Dealer stock only. Warranties are limited. Powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details. Jeff, my man, what's going on over there at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah? Look, I know you got something up your sleeve to blow me away.
You bet I do, Randy. Gas prices are high, but we've got you covered with 41 MPG Highway in your new 2023 Kia Forte LXS at $278 a month, $27.99 due at signing, and a 7-passenger SUV ready to ride in a 2023 Kia Sorrento LX $378 a month, $34.99 due at signing. Both 36-month lease.
Plus peace of mind with Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. And if I don't see exactly what I want,
I'll order it for you, and you won't pay over MSRP. So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy, happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
2680 Mount Moriah or KiaMountMoriah.com.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. So you ordered a new air filter for your car. You try to install it, but it doesn't fit. So you take a little bit off the sides. Well, it still doesn't fit? Well, you could try to sit on it. Or just go to eBay Motors and get it right the first time. When you see the green check, you know that part's gonna fit. Air filters, brakes, headlights, over 122 million parts. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors, let's ride.
Hey, Zeke, how's it going? Oh, it's going great. Look, I just started the Central Barbecue Diet. Haven't heard of it. Well, then, I tell you what. You just sit down right there, and I will tell you everything that you need to know about the Central Barbecue Diet. Eating Central Barbecue exclusively has not been shown in clinical studies to reduce weight. Eating a diet exclusively Central Barbecue has not been proven to make you more popular, attractive, and intelligent, although it almost certainly would. Plus, you know what? Who am I to tell you how to live your life? Do what you want. Take up golf. Get a puppy. Learn to crochet. Eat Central Barbecue 3 meals a day. It's your life. Don't let some disclaimer guy on a Central Barbecue commercial tell you what to do. You're a person. Live your life. Eat barbecue.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Oh, yeah. Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant Dacus, Brett Norsworthy, Jay Morgan Harder with you. And like we start every Monday at 4 o'clock, David Cobb from CBS Sports joins us now. David, thanks for joining us, and I guess we'll start with the Tigers. They get a win, over a 3-point win over Cincinnati yesterday. It was more comfortable than that final score looked, and kind of looking at all the brackets with only a week left until conference tournament play, it seems like the Tigers are somewhat comfortably in right now on the bubble, but closer to safe than out. What do you think would have to go wrong for the Tigers to not make the tournament in 2 weeks?
That's a kind of a sad way to have to look at things, but
Yeah.
It's probably the right way to frame it right now because Memphis is pretty safe. I think it would take a loss against SMU to knock Memphis into any jeopardy. And even then, I think you're probably still in. So I guess what it would probably take is you lose your last 2 regular season games and you lose your first game in the AAC tournament, and then you're real nervous. I don't think that happens, though. I mean, that seems so far-fetched and unlikely to me. They took care of 2 far more difficult opponents this past week in Wichita State and Cincinnati, so you wouldn't think SMU would be an issue. You never know. You're going on the road. That's a kind of an emotional moment maybe for Kendrick Davis, playing inside the gym where he became one of the AAC's all-time great players. So there's some awkward dynamics there, or strange dynamics there, but, I mean, he's been an absolute pro this season for Memphis, and I don't think it'll be an issue.
He has been, and his give and take, his symmetry and synchronicity with Coach Hardaway, it has been something to watch him play. And now you're reading the stories today. I think Mark Giannotto and Jason Munns both wrote about Penny Hardaway telling him, if you come to Memphis, we'll get you then. We'll go to the NCAA tournament together. There was a time this year that I thought, I'll just be candid. Why did he come here? There's places that the road might have been easier. This one has not been easy, but he's navigated it.
Yeah. To me, he's the clear front runner for AAC Player of the Year. He's now the all-time leader in scoring in the conference. So it's been a perfect marriage. He's been exactly what Memphis needed, too. You think back over the Penny Hardaway years, lack of a true elite, scoring guard has been an issue ever since Jeremiah Martin left. And Alex Lomax has finally been able to play a role that suits him this season. And to me, he's thrived in that. And he's been a role player, a defensive guy, a secondary ball handler, a glue player, which is always kind of, I think, what they needed him to be. And Tyler Harris, to his credit, was surprisingly good when he came back last year at getting the ball in the basket. But it wasn't going to work to play Tyler Harris and Kendrick Davis together this year. We've already seen Memphis' defense isn't quite as elite as it was last season, and that's even more of an issue if you're starting 2 guys who are under 6 feet tall or playing both of them significant minutes. So I give Penny a big tip of the cap for the roster management piece this year. This isn't Memphis' most talented roster. Memphis has been so far outside the national spotlight this year compared to the previous years under Penny because of that. But this is the most cohesive, coherent, role-defined team that Penny's had, and that's why we're not as nervous today about their NCAA tournament chances as we typically have been at this point in the calendar.
We've kind of seen the improvements for Penny Hardaway as a coach, and Brett, pointed out earlier today and late last week, kind of how he's seen some of those improvements kind of in-game situations as a coach for Penny. What are kind of some of the improvements you've seen from Penny Hardaway in his 5th year?
I mean, I think about it from an intangible standpoint, in the lack of bravado.
Yeah.
It was interesting early in Penny's career. I don't know if you kind of sat down with him and you did a Tom Rinaldi piece on his journey to this point. How would he reflect upon some of the outlandish things that he said early in his tenure about what Memphis was going to accomplish? On the one hand, it got a lot of attention on the program. It might have helped in recruiting. There's been no shortage of 5-star talents who have signed to play for Penny Hardaway. On the one hand, he was successful in putting the program in the spotlight in that way, but the results haven't quite been there. And so, I think what we've seen this year is just a maturation of Penny as a coach and an understanding of what it truly takes to succeed at the high major Division I level. I think there's a respectfulness on Penny's part now as to what it takes to really succeed at this level. You don't just amass the most talented roster and then roll the ball out there and expect everything to fall into place. And so, you look at his staff now. He's got a former college head coach in Frank Hayes on his staff who helped. He beat Memphis, a handful of times. And so to sort of go out and be willing to hire a guy like that and accept his input, I think that's a sign of the maturation. So I think of it more from the intangible standpoint. I think you can definitely talk about, the out of timeout stuff and the more nitty gritty role, not playing guys just to play them, not going 11 to 12 deep just to keep mouths fed. Just, the role definition, I think, is the one thing from an on-court perspective that really sticks out, in addition to just some of that growing and developing and maturing as a coach.
The switches on defense, the substitution pattern, also this, you mentioned, some of the inbound plays, particularly under the basket, inbounds plays, it's been strategy of a high level. He has really picked it up as head coach. We visit every Monday with David Cobb on college football and college basketball. We'll get back into the college basketball, I promise. But, David, the college football news, the FSU athletics director calling his shot. They want out and maybe not afraid of the grants of right penalty. They're even talking paying that. And I visited with someone today with the SEC about the potential of FSU and Clemson coming in, and it could happen. It could happen as early as 25, but probably not before then.
Yeah, it's interesting because from my understanding all along that grant of rights for the ACC is through 2036, and it's pretty ironclad. But man, once you get the powerful people in the room here, we're not just talking about at FSU. It's not just the athletic director and the coach complaining, because those people only have so much influence. You're talking about board of trustees, members, presidential level types of characters who are now complaining about how far behind the ACC is falling. And so I think that it could force the league's hand. I think ultimately what it leads to, if I had to guess right now, is it gets ESPN to the table a little sooner to renegotiate the ACC's deal, because they've already got their SEC deal in place. So I don't think they want to see the ACC diminish significantly, because then it makes those all the programming. Yeah, and all the programming they have for that league then becomes way less attractive if you don't have FSU and Clemson and who knows Miami in the league. So I think what it does is it puts pressure on the network to get to the negotiating table and say, we want the ACC to be successful and competitive in the new environment. So maybe it gets that negotiation started sooner than 2036, which, my gosh, that is just insane how long from now that is. So I don't know. It's interesting to see them really voicing these issues. But you're right. If you go and look at the payouts over the next decade, the ACC is going to be way, way behind in a way that makes it really difficult from a resource standpoint to keep up with the SEC and the Big Ten.
And to see him attaching the FSU AD, attaching his name to it, and maybe not scared of the blowback from the rest of the league. David, I don't want to see college football get down to 3 leagues of 20 each, but it feels like 20 might be that magic number for SEC and Big Ten.
Well, yeah, it absolutely could if the Pac-12 can't get something done here. in terms of a media rights deal, you will see Oregon and Washington probably begging to enter the Big Ten, or you'll see a mass exodus for the Big 12, where the Big 12 could potentially absorb the remnants of the Pac-12. There's some scenarios like that out there that seem far-fetched, but just remember, in conference realignment, what seems crazy one day is reality the next. Just look no further than the initial news drop about Oklahoma and Texas joining the SEC. As it would have seemed insane to suggest that to most folks 48 hours before it happened. Then it happened, and now it's about to become reality. The ultimate thing that I come back to is what fans want, right? They want their teams to be able to compete for championships. And the way the new college football playoff structure is built, it's that the top 6 conference champions are going to get automatic bids at college football playoffs. And so from a competitive standpoint or a fan standpoint, you don't care so much about your athletic department's bottom line. You want to see your team have a chance to win it all. And you know what? If some of the better, bigger programs leave a conference to go get more money, I say let them. If we're, let's say, Virginia Tech, and we get left behind in the ACC, and I'm a Virginia Tech fan, and Clemson and Florida State bounce, all I see is a chance to win the league and make the playoff.
Yeah.
So there's that other side of it too that I don't know if the folks that only worry about money really think about.
I remember when Texas and Oklahoma left the Big 12, and the Big 12 was kind of scrambling, and there was the big debate of what would be next for the Big 12. Would they be able to survive without Texas and Oklahoma? When you kind of think about the idea of Florida State and Clemson maybe leaving the ACC, I mean, what does that do to that conference if those two teams leave? Is the ACC in a better spot than what the Big 12 was when they lost Texas and Oklahoma?
I don't know. I'm not sure, because if the media rights deal is still in place through 2036, they are still kind of trapped. I mean, you could kind of see the ACC become what the AAC has been for the last 9 years, which is that the league that's sort of teetering on the brink of being competitive with the others nationally, but not quite there, in its entirety. I mean, that's what an ACC without Florida State and Clemson would look like in many respects. The league just doesn't have many big brands outside of those two in football. And I still think there would be a chance for it to climb back in basketball with Duke and Syracuse if they can get the higher right post Boeheim. Virginia is obviously a really solid basketball program under Tony Bennett. But from a football standpoint, that league would be irrelevant, really, on a national level without Florida State and Clemson.
And David, starting in 2024, not this year, but next year, starting next year, the SEC will have 16 teams in it. That's how many the AFC and the NFC is composed of.
Yeah, it is. It's insane. It's gonna be fun. They got to get the scheduling figured out. That's the next hurdle. I hope it'll be fun. I say it will be. I'm not sure how fun it's going to be for Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Well, it hadn't been much fun for them, and it's not going to be fun for a lot of others, because I've asked this, like for Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Arkansas, South Carolina, Mizzou, some years, some others dip in that, Kentucky. Who in the world are they? Who are we going to beat? How are we going to get to 7 wins?
Yeah, you got to hope Missouri stays down. If I'm an SEC head coach right now, I'm like, you know what, Missouri, you guys keep extending Eli Drinkwitz. Thank you very much, actually, for extending Eli Drinkwitz. Like, that's phenomenal. And even Vandy, like, they started to kind of turn a corner a little bit towards the end of last season. So
they did. Progress was made.
Yeah, Mississippi State's one that I mean, if you're looking at potential teams that could fall off a little bit more, Zach Arnett faces just a really difficult situation. Replacing Mike Leach, first time as a head coach in the most difficult conference in America that's only growing more difficult. So, I mean, if that guy gets Mississippi State to a bowl these next couple of years, in my mind, he will have done a phenomenal job, because Mississippi State is at risk at this point of sliding back to where they were, maybe late Jackie Sherrill, and then early, before Dan Mullen and whatnot. When, of course, Sylvester Croom got him to a bowl, and there were some good years mixed in there. But, there could be some of that Mississippi State here on the horizon.
That's what everybody fears a step back. And look, last year, Ole Miss and Arkansas had itty-bitty steps back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sam Pittman's another one facing a hurdle here. They could get a tough draw if they really go hard on the regional, like permanent regional opponents with the three that you're going to play every season, and they get set up with Texas, Oklahoma, and Texas A&M or something. I mean, that could be really brutal. I mean, I know Missouri.
Great. Skybox is all sold out, and the season ticket sales were great, but what about the old coach?
Yeah, and what about the fans? Because, it's great to be in a rich league, and it's great to have these games to go and see and to have a marquee opponent in your home stadium, 7 times a year. I mean, it won't be that often. They'll still play an FCS team, I'm sure, but 5, 6 home games a year that are pretty solid. But at the end of the day, you got to win to keep that fan support up for the most part. So it's a catch-22 a little bit, and that's why I keep saying, like, if you're one of these schools in a conference that's been left behind, if you're Baylor, if you're Oklahoma State right now, you're saying, all right, Texas and Oklahoma are gone. Like, I don't care about my athletic department's budget. All I see is a conference that's ripe for the winning now. And in the case of Baylor and Oklahoma State, they've already been at or near the top of the Big 12 in the last few years. And that path only gets easier when the big boys leave. So I don't worry about, if I'm just a regular everyday alum, why do I care if the athletic department gets a $70 million conference payout versus 50, or even 100 versus 50? It's about wins and losses at the end of the day, and there'll be a lot of teams out there taking some L's in this new era.
Talking to David Cobb from CBS Sports. You can follow him on Twitter at David W. Cobb. David, getting back into college basketball, Tennessee got back on the right track with a win over South Carolina, 40-point win over the Gamecocks, and it was the first game with Josiah Jordan-James back in the lineup. He added 18 points, 4 3-pointers. I mean, how much does he affect that offense?
They're deep enough to get by, to survive. They beat Alabama without him, but over the long haul, they're so much better when they've got Josiah Jordan-James and Julian Phillips on the floor. I mean, Josiah Jordan-James is that veteran guy who's been around, seen it all, can hit shots. Julian Phillips, less so from an offensive standpoint, but from a defensive standpoint, still ranks as one of the best defenders in the country. So if Tennessee is going to make a run in the NCAA tournament, they need both of those guys on the floor. And it does help, absolutely, from an offensive standpoint, to have Josiah Jordan-James out there, because he's the one guy on Tennessee's roster who you actually trust to get off a jump shot when the shot clock is dwindling under 5 seconds and there's no clear option available. He's the one guy with his size and athleticism who can actually take a mid-range jumper and get it off over a defender and at least have a shot of it going in. With Vescovi and Key and Ziegler, they're also short. That they've got to come off of an action or turn the corner around a ball screen to really get that look. Josiah Jordan-James is not like that. He's different from the rest of Tennessee's guards and wings in that way. So he's a difference maker. It seems to be a little bit on the mental side for him this year in terms of working back from a knee injury and trying to figure out, can he go 100% and does he really want to? So that's been an issue, but encouraging, I guess, against South Carolina. That's a bad South Carolina team, but heck, they had just taken Alabama to overtime. So I guess you got to feel okay about beating that team by 40.
You do. And, David, I love this time of year. I like the zero-sum game aspect of it. Now, there are some teams out there that they are playing for, hey, we went to the Sweet 16. Hey, we went to the Elite 8. Some, we made a Final Four appearance, maybe a first Final Four appearance, like Xavier, Alabama, Tennessee, first Final Four. But others are playing for – there's only one winner, and you have to win it. With that, I declared earlier, I have 2 teams I will now advance when I have a bracket in front of me as far as they can go, except for when they meet, and I want to have the bracket in front of me to decide which one would go past that. I'm there with Houston. I'm there with UCLA, and you were right in your tweet earlier today. The coaches look so petty at Mick Cronin today.
They did. How does UCLA drop in the polls after clinching the Pac-12 title with 2 road wins they've got a 3-game lead on Arizona in the Pac-12 standing. So they fall in the polls. Kansas, after barely beating West Virginia at home, jumps UCLA, which makes no sense, and it doesn't matter. But it's interesting because Mick Cronin has kind of been out there with these conspiracy theories about why UCLA is not a projected number 1 seed in the early bracket preview. And look, I get annoyed with the use of metrics and Ken Pom and Net and Bart Torvik and all of that. It wears on me too. Don't get me wrong, but that's the reality of how your resume is assessed. And right now, this season, the Division I basketball selection committee chair, it's the Creighton athletic director. So it's not as if it's a Pac-12 athletic director who is vengeful against Mick Cronin and UCLA for leaving the Pac-12. So UCLA has a gripe today about why they dropped in the coaches poll. That makes no sense. But I don't necessarily agree with Mick Cronin in his assessment of why UCLA is not a projected 1 seed in that early bracket. I don't believe that the selection committee has it out for UCLA. I just think the Pac-12 is in a similar situation to the ACC where they didn't get it done in the non-con. And when you don't get it done in the non-con, your conference victories don't mean as much because you're beating up on teams that have nothing on their resume. So it's a tough situation. I feel for Mick Cronin. I guess I understand why he's defending his team, and they didn't deserve to drop in the coaches poll. But I would be surprised if they have any path towards being a number 1 seed.
Do you have 2 or 3 names you would like to suggest to Keith Carter as the next Ole Miss men's basketball head coach?
Yeah, I mean, the one I keep coming back to that seems rather obvious is Dusty May. He makes a lot of sense. The other one who I think is interesting is that Oral Roberts, Mills. I mean, they just completed a perfect season in the Sun Belt. They are going to be the only team in college basketball this season to go perfect, undefeated in their conference. So Paul Mills absolutely deserves a look. I mean, they made the Sweet 16 a couple years back. I think there was some interest at that time from some other schools, but he has sustained it and proven it over a long period of time now at a program that didn't have much of a legacy beforehand. So the other thing that appeals to me about what Oral Roberts has done this year and why Paul Mills should be in the running for a big job and maybe the Ole Miss job is that he's done some work in the portal. You go and look, Max Amos is their leading scorer still, the little guy who was a star a couple of years ago in the tournament. He's still around and getting buckets. But Connor Vanover and Isaac McBride are both SEC transfers who are really making that team, a potential threat in March. And so, the fact that he's built a championship-level roster through the transfer portal, I think should make him an interesting and attractive option to Ole Miss. Because
there are 3 people in Memphis traffic that on any hearing of Connor Vanover's name, they honk their horns.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, he actually was decent there for a minute at Arkansas.
He
didn't really jive with the way Muss wanted to play.
He's just too slow.
It's too slow, yeah, exactly. But the dude's 7'4" or whatever, and he hits threes.
Can't teach 7'4", David.
That's one to look at. The more I've kind of looked at the Ole Miss situation, Dusty May is one to look at, but the way FAU has gotten it done this year is a slow build with a lot of returning players. And you're not going to get it done at Ole Miss in that way in a short period of time like that fan base probably wants with a slow build. So the fact is that Mills has flipped the roster, and it really helps his case at Oral Roberts this year by showing he can go out and get those transfers.
I was at both Saturday, 12,000 at baseball. The basketball arena doesn't even hold that, about 5,000 at basketball versus LSU Saturday night.
Yeah. Well, it is baseball season in the SEC now, and that's if Arkansas, if they flame out here, and I hope they don't, I think they got a chance. You know what? You can always just flip the calendar over and say, it's baseball season. I know a lot of folks in Knoxville who are about to do that right now. They've already checked out on basketball, and they're getting ready to go all in on baseball. So it's nice to have that third sport for a handful of these SEC schools.
Yeah. Last thing for you, David, just kind of a follow-up on the Ole Miss coaching search. Kind of 2 of the bigger names that were thrown out there. I think it was Jeff Goodman who first put him out, that his sources were telling him that they could be candidates. Chris Beard and Will Wade, do you think there's anything to those 2 names? Could you even see one of those coaching for Ole Miss next year?
I can't see it on Will Wade. I mean, I could see it maybe on Chris Beard. Will Wade, to me, is still way too – I mean, isn't that sad that, like, in our society, like, I don't know, the guy who is accused of a felony domestic violence charge, we can see him coaching the next year, but the guy who offered to pay players is untouchable. I mean, I don't know. I'm just speaking from the side of maybe how an athletic administrator would think, I would think Will Wade is even less touchable than Chris Beard. I mean, ultimately, look, if Brandon Miller can play basketball right now with no repercussions, then I think Chris Beard, who's been cleared of all charges in his case, can do the same under that rationale. If it just means more in the SEC and it's win at all costs, then Ole Miss can subscribe to the same morals of Alabama and go hire Chris Beard with no reservation. I'm not suggesting that's the right thing to do or that there wouldn't be a tremendous amount of blowback to that. There would be. And I think there are other candidates out there who are more than deserving of a look, but it's hard to say Chris Beard wouldn't be successful. I mean, go look, he's won everywhere he's been. So if they want to go down that road, more power to them, but they need to be prepared for a tremendous amount of pushback.
It's going to be interesting to kind of see what they do, who gets interviewed, and who ultimately lands that job. But, David, thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you again next Monday.
All righty, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you, David. Enjoy all these games. This week's going to be fun with all the conference tournaments getting started. And I know you can get down to All-Star Chevrolet at Olive Branch for the great Chevy Silverado or Chevy truck sales going on this week to wrap up February and into March, into the month of madness at All-Star. You can get a new Chevy Silverado or Equinox and get financing as low as 2.99%. Ask for Jeff or Kevin or any member of that great All-Star team. I saw a couple of them at the Tigers game yesterday. They'll get the incentive that you want, an incentive that includes $750 off your purchase price of any new Chevy just for owning a 2009 or newer non-GM car or truck. You don't have to trade it, just own it, plus a lot of customer cash back as well. All that can add up to as much as $3,250 right now. And if you're a first responder, military, educator, or healthcare worker, you get another $500 off. Jeff and Kevin want to thank all of you for bringing your cars or trucks, SUVs down to Olive Branch, first exit off Highway 78, Kraft Goodman Road, first exit into Mississippi. You're there at All-Star Chevrolet. Easiest place to get a check today, right now, for great cash, even if you owe against it. For service, call and ask for Sean or Jeff in the service department. Remember, it's not the Pike, not South Haven, not Bartlett, Mount Moriah, or Collierville. It's got to be Olive Branch. Find new roads to All-Star Chevy in Olive Branch or go to allstarautogroup.com.
Let's get to a break. When we come back, Shelby Mast from BracketWag.com and the USA Today's official bracketologist will join us to talk about his bracket. That's next.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, we have catered parties all over this country and all over the world, from Singapore, Australia to Central Park in New York. But many people don't realize how much we do locally. For holiday events, office parties, tailgating, birthday parties, you can't do better than the Rendezvous. For example, you can get a cheese and sausage tray for 15 to 300 people for $3.75 a person. You can even build your own nacho bar for $10.50 per person. All you need is a minimum of 15 people. In many cases, we can arrange delivery and full-service catering. We've even made it easy to get to-go items. You can just park at our front door in the alley, put on your flashes, and we'll get you going ASAP. For all your catering items and prices, go to hogsfly.com, click on menu, and drop down to catering.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch has an offer you can't refuse. They will pay you to do business with them if you want luxury. And I'm talking the Genesis G70 car. If you would love to have that kind of new technology, they will give you a $1,000 rebate when you finance with Genesis Motor Finance. In other words, they'll pay you $1,000 to do business with them, and you get brand new luxury. You can't beat it. That's Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis, right at the corner of Craft Road and Highway 78 in Olive Branch. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch, where customer retention is amazing. There's a reason. They take care of you with a team that's been together for a long time. Whether it's finance or whether it's service, you can't beat them. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis.
The experienced technicians at Conway Services are ready to solve all of your drain problems. For a limited time, take advantage of our 83 or It's Free drain clearing special. Feel secure knowing the trusted professionals at Conway Services guarantee that if we can't clear it, you don't pay for it. Call now or visit conwayservices.com for details, terms, and conditions. License number 64210, 64365 EAS, MS 19668.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
I had a nighttime routine for my frequent heartburn. I would drink milk, I would sleep upright with more pillows, but that painful burning stayed. So I made Prilosec OTC part of my morning routine. With just one pill each morning, Prilosec OTC prevents excess acid production, blocking heartburn day and night. Now I have a new nighttime routine. I call it sleeping.
One pill a day, 24 hours, zero heartburn. With Prilosec OTC. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
Bobby J's waiting to get your call today and put you in a new Kia from Gossett Kia Covington Pike. Hit the road with 41 MPG Highway for just $278 a month in your new 2023 Kia Forte LXS $27.99 due at signing. Or rule the road in luxury with 2023 Kia K5 LXS $337 a month, $31.99 due at signing. Both 36-month lease. And if we don't have what you're looking for, not a problem. Bobby J will order you a new ride today. You won't pay over MSRP. And keep cruising in confidence with Kia's best-in-class warranty, 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Ask for Bobby J. He'll put you in a new Kia today. Gossett Kia 1900 Covington Pike. Online, KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Quote $30,000 per year, $650 acquisition fee, Forte LXS PE 581 756, MSRP 21985, K5 PG 201 MSRP 26805, includes all rebates and incentives, PF 695, must finance through Hyundai, excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 2/28/23. Dealer stock only. Warranties a limited powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Brian Elder Roofing, 867-0303. You've known the name for 30 years. You might even remember him from nearly 20 years on Kix 106 as half of the Young and Elder Show. Now, 13 years later, Brian Elder is the largest purchaser of Owens Corning shingles in Memphis. Call him right now, 867-0303. Certified and trained by Owens Corning to earn a reputation for quality and expertise matched by no one. Don't let them tell you it has to be replaced when all it needs is a repair. Call right now, 867-0303. He'll climb every inch of your roof. He'll go into your attic and run a moisture and ventilation test using state-of-the-art equipment to make certain you're protected from mold and other contaminants. You may be causing respiratory problems for your family and not even know it. We're waiting for your call, 867-0303 or BrianElderRoofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant Dacus, Brett Norsworthy, Jay Morgan Harder with you. And now to talk about the bracket in a couple of weeks. We'll have the official bracket in front of us. But Shelby Mast from BracketWag.com and USA Today joins us now. Shelby, how important is the next 2 weeks for you when it comes to trying to figure out what the committee's going to do on Selection Sunday?
It's crunch time, no doubt about it. I got to buckle down and really go over these resumes, try and figure out what the committee values the most, because every year it seems to be there's something different. Now there's 2 extra committee members, so that makes it a little more difficult, I think, but it could make it a little easier.
Yeah, well, you're right, but that's 2 more voices and potentially 2 more advocates for something else that could make the debate go longer. Shelby, your side it's so good because it's just laid out right there, really very easy to understand at BracketWag.com. You're the official bracketologist for USA Today and Gannett. and we know why. And through the years, we've just loved visiting with you. This bracket today, the one you let go last night, what was the hardest thing about it? Did you have to wrestle with maybe UCLA as a 1, or where to put Purdue, or where does it really get tough? Is it tougher at the top or that 6 through 9 range?
I had a difficult time with UCLA and Baylor. I went ahead and put Baylor on the 1 line. Even though they have 8 losses, they have a huge number of quad 1 wins. But tonight they got a tough game. If they win, I feel better about it. But if they lose, then UCLA slides up. I also had problems on the very last team in, Arizona State. They had a good comeback win at Arizona, but I dropped Wisconsin out because they lost yesterday, and I feel uncomfortable about that because in my own metric, they're pretty high up there, and no team in my own metric has been ranked in the top 40 and missed the tournament. And they're right now ranked 29. So I'm back and forth on that one, but it's fun.
Wow. Kind of looking at that bubble, your last 4 in, you've got USC, West Virginia, Oklahoma State, and Arizona State. It looks like the Tigers right now, Memphis seems to be fairly safe in terms of the bracket. How safe are they right now, and what would have to go wrong for them to not make the bracket on Selection Sunday?
For them not to make it, lose any game that you shouldn't lose. I haven't looked at the schedule.
Right there in your backyard Thursday, SMU.
So they should win that.
Yeah.
If they were to lose it, though, a home game, that is bad. SMU's not having a good year. That would be a bad loss. I don't think it would knock them out, but it would probably put them in the play-in game, and from there, you're just hanging on.
Mm-hmm. It would be damaging. Today, SMU in the net, 200. One in front, St. Thomas of Minnesota, who knew. One behind them, Georgia Southern. The Tigers, 38 in the net with Providence, one in front, and Mississippi State, one behind them. Our guest, Shelby Mass from BracketWag.com and the official bracketologist for USA Today. You have three leagues with 8 bids each, no more with more than that. Big 10, Big 12, SEC with 8. How does the Big 12 get 9 of its 10 members in?
Well, they got 2 that are in the play-in game right now, so that doesn't bode well.
Ooh.
And then Texas Tech will be the other team that should get in at large. They've been playing pretty good lately. They lost to TCU at home, so that hurt. But they need help from other teams to get key losses, and they have to win out and probably win 2 games in the Big 12 tournament.
And I was kind of looking at what teams you have down in the next 4 out, and Penn State's kind of been a team that I've really enjoyed watching this season. But how much of a backbreaker was that loss to Rutgers yesterday?
Well, that was kind of fitting for the weekend. I mean, it was a crazy weekend, and then to cap it off with that game, I quit watching it at about halftime because it was over. And then I got a thing on my phone letting me know it was a close game. I'm like, I better start turning it back on. And I did. I'm glad I did. It was a fantastic ending, but that hurt. Penn State, they had that game, and then they blew their chance at the end. I bet I would have to imagine they're sick today.
Who's the team that's kind of leader in the clubhouse right now for going the right way, the upward trajectory, and who's going the wrong way that really needs to put the brakes on that and get things right? Who's the team most going the right way? Who's falling?
I think Kentucky is going the right way.
Good one.
They were worried, and they wanted Pitino's head recently, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah,
and
Calipari. Same difference. Yeah.
All is well now. So they're doing things the right way. Wrong, I think maybe West Virginia. They were looking somewhat safe a few weeks ago, and they've lost games. They've been competitive, been good games, but they still are losses, and they got to turn it around real quick.
I thought you were going to stay in the SEC with right direction and wrong direction. Calipari may be doing one of his best coaching jobs to save this season, moving in the right direction. And another one, and I saw him, and I think he's a great coach, but I think it's his least best team since he's been there. Auburn going the wrong way.
Yeah, they are. I think they've done enough already to where they're probably safe, but I can't lock them in yet. They could, lose 3 in a row, and then there'll be Selection Sunday will be awful tense.
Talking to Shelby Mass from BracketWag.com, also the official bracketologist for USA Today. I think the one team that everyone talks about right now going into conference tournament week has been North Carolina, just because of the somewhat disappointing season this has been from preseason number 1. Right now, you have them in the first 4 out with 2 games left against Florida State and Duke. I mean, what are their chances right now in making the field?
Pretty slim, I would think. If Florida State, they've got to win that.
Got to.
That is, if they lose that, I think it doesn't matter the rest of the way unless they win the ACC tournament. I think Florida State is such a damaging loss. But if they win that, if they win against Duke, that's 2 possible quad 1 wins in the last 2 weeks. Get in the ACC tournament and make some noise, I think they'll be in. But they're doing the same thing that they did last year, where they didn't have much meat, and then they beat Duke and had a nice run in the tournament.
Yep.
And they got in as an 8th seed, I think.
Shelby, it is something today to look at the AP poll released, every Monday, and this one the last poll before conference tournament start, today, and everybody gets going next week. Amazing to see neither Duke or North Carolina in the top 25.
Yeah, it's a rare thing, but that's the nature of the beast this year.
Yeah.
Earlier, Brett was talking about how he's going to do his bracket, I guess, and he said there's 2 teams right now, Houston and UCLA, that until they have to play each other, they're going to advance in his bracket. What is one team that you would kind of put in that essence of a team that you would just kind of move through your bracket, that they've just been that dominant this season?
All the way to the middle.
Houston and UCLA are 2 good choices. I think I'm stuck on Indiana for some reason. I don't know why. But they they're playing good. Is what they did against Purdue. That was a fun game for them, especially. But they were in control. Purdue wasn't. I mean, they were in it, but they didn't pose a threat.
Shelby, a team that I was wanting to really like, and I still do. I like the coach. He's gotten a team to a Final Four it's Jim Larinaga with George Mason. But at the U, Miami's never been to a Final Four, and I'm loving them. And then they lose on Saturday to arguably Leonard Hamilton's worst FSU team ever. I mean, some of these teams, they still show a lot of flaws.
Yeah, and Miami was up by 25.
Yeah,
at home, that's tough. I mean, demoralizing is probably more. It'll affect the team more. Their seed line, they dropped their seed line. I don't see them dropping another one or going back up to being a possible 3. But how do you recover from that?
Yeah, that's hard to recover from.
Yeah.
And back local for the Memphis Tigers late last week, and I was talking in rosy scenarios. I wasn't saying they're going to do this, but I said win over Cincinnati, win at SMU, win at home against Houston on the last regular season game of the year. Now one part of that down. Now got SMU and at home against Houston. Win it in Fort Worth. Win those 3 games and maybe get that resume black eye of losing not once but twice to Tulane, rectify that, get Houston again. Any way Memphis can get to a 6 seed, what's the very max for better seeding they could get to under a most rosy scenario?
I think at 8 probably. If they win out and win their tournament, I think an 8, depending on other teams as well. But I don't see them getting up to 6. That's an awful big stretch for this late in the year.
Got it.
I would almost rather stay where they're at than be an 8 or 9 seed.
Yeah, 8 or 9. That's kind of no man's land because it's the toughest first round game. It's the toughest second round game because you're gonna play that one.
Yeah, I think if team is saying they want a 9 seed, I'd much rather have a 10 seed.
No doubt.
No kidding.
We've watched enough of the tournament to know that, because still, I know Maryland, Baltimore County did it, but I always said it would never happen once. I'm going to double down that it never happens again.
Yeah, it's one of those law of averages things that it's going to eventually happen, and now that it has, we can wipe the slate clean and go back to normalcy.
Yeah, I think you're right. Last thing for you, Shelby, I see you've got UConn on the 4 line. They've won their last 3 games, dropped a really close one to Creighton, and then won the 3 before that. How impressed have you been with UConn this season? How deep do you think they can go in the tournament?
I expect them to make a pretty good run. They were very impressive in the early season, and then they had that stretch where they kind of stunk it up, and now they seem to have righted the ship, and they're a tough team. I'm not necessarily a Dan Hurley fan, but he can coach them up, that's for sure.
Yeah, he sure can. He's kind of a hothead at times, but a good coach. He sure is. He's fiery. But Shelby, thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you again next Monday when we're really in the heart of conference tournament time.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Have a
Shelby.
great week, Shelby, and get plenty of sleep.
Yeah,
I know you're going to need it this week because it's going to be some late-night games, and to be in Vegas this week and next.
Yeah, I mean, some good. We've kind of talked about it all season because you just kind of look at it, all those tournaments in Vegas. It's gonna be a fun couple weeks.
5, is that right? Over the next 2 weeks?
I think so. A lot of them are moving to Vegas. Seems like it's a good place to have a tournament.
Sure is.
Sports in general, it's a good place to have them. Everyone's moving to Vegas.
Super Bowl headed there next year.
Yeah, so it's turned into the sports capital of America. But let's get to a break. When we come back, it will be time for Big Number of the Day.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
When you take your first bite of a steak at 117 Prime, Memphis's premier downtown dining destination, you'll wonder if maybe you were hit by lightning on the way to the restaurant and you're in heaven. It's no exaggeration. A steak at 117 Prime is almost an out-of-body experience. Any cut of steak you crave, prepared by people that live for one thing, making the perfect steak cooked over an open flame to the exact degree of doneness you dream of. There are lots of places you can get a steak in Memphis, but there is only one 117 Prime.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. In these uncertain economic times, there are so many things as a contractor and a business owner that I cannot control. The rising cost of materials, not to mention fuel and transportation costs. In the last 2 years, shingle prices have almost doubled, and commercial materials have doubled. And I don't have to tell you what fuel costs these days. But you know what I can control? How much markup I put on a project. I have always prided myself in knowing I never gouge a customer. But in an effort to ensure my crews have work and my customers are being treated fairly, I have lowered my profit margin, hoping to give you a price you can live with and keeping my crews busy. So if you need a roof or gutters, please give us a call. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. Fiveash Roofing, a proud sponsor of Tiger Athletics and a member of the Tigers home team. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
It's here, Mid-South, the last call. Special editions honoring the end of an era with Dodge Challenger and Dodge Charger and the last of the legendary Hemi engines that power them. Up to 808 horsepower and heritage colors. B5 blue, plum crazy purple, and sublime green. And Gossett's got them more than anyone in 300 miles. So come by and take a look at these bad boys. Plus, celebrate the President's Day sales event with 2022 Jeep Renegade Latitude 4x4, $398 a month. Or get 2022 Dodge Charger SXT, $449 a month. Savings everywhere at Gossett, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram, Fiat. But if you can't find exactly what you want, let Gossett order it today. So drive past the rest and come to the best. Gossett on the Pike, or shop online, GossettMotorCars.net.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Quote 3,500 cash down, 75 months at 4.99 APR. Renegade NPN 96688, MSRP 32880. Charger NN 246270, MSRP 35630. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695 excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 2/28/2023. Dealer stock only.
All investments involve risk, including losses. Past performance does not guarantee future results. Has the stock market slumps and instability this year got you concerned? Would you like a way that could protect your retirement when the markets are down? Gold Alliance would like to give you 2 free reports, the Inflation Survival Plan and the Stock Market Correction Plan. Both reveal how to protect your savings in uncertain times. It's absolutely free. Don't wait. Call 800-200-2079. 800-200-2079. 800-200-2079.
Do you want a greener, more weed-free lawn? If you're like me, you can't stand the sight of dandelions, clover, or especially crabgrass. Hi, I'm Brandon Hawley, president of Lawn Solutions. We are your locally owned and operated weed control and fertilization company. We are also experts in disease and insect control on your lawn and landscape. Our uniformed technicians are full-time, year-round licensed and certified by the state of Tennessee. Lawn Solutions' personalized service is far more superior to that of national companies that promise but simply cannot deliver. We return phone calls, we keep appointments, and we want your business. What we will not do is bother you with endless phone calls or junk mail. Lawn Solutions will not sell you something your lawn doesn't need. If you're looking for a local lawn care company to kill your weeds and feed your grass, then Lawn Solutions is the finest. Call us at 867-5626. That's 867-5626. Or go online at lawnsolutionsinc.net. From our family to yours, we want to thank you for your business.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant Dacus, Brett Norsworthy, Jay Morgan Harder. And it's a Monday, so you had all weekend to find a big number for today's show. So I guess let's do it. Here's big number of the day.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand.
It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
So I guess I'll start today. My big number is 69, and I know spring training started Friday, and we've all been kind of paying attention to the pitch clock and what's going on there. The Cardinals were on TV today playing the Mets in a spring training game, but Jason Stark, the senior MLB writer for The Athletic, posted on the Athletic app that through 35 spring training games between Friday and Sunday, there were 69 clock violations. That's 1.97 per game. On Sunday, there were 16 games, 36 clock violations, 26 on pitchers, and 8 on hitters. So I think we all expected this. It's going to be a big change for a lot of these pitchers with kind of working that fast clock. I was watching it today with the Cardinals, and it's really interesting to see how some of these guys are having to adapt and change their style because of this pitch clock. And it's really interesting to see some of the young guys who haven't had this MLB experience coming into these spring training games and having to work so fast.
Who do you think it's tougher on? The pitcher, Jay Morgan, jump in here too, the pitcher or the batter to adjust to play ball, get ready to go?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, it definitely affects both of them. I would say probably pitcher just because it's a lot more on them. I mean, that batter's only up there for a handful of pitches in the inning. The pitcher has to work through so much, so I think it's a little bit harder on them. But, I mean, having to be in that box with 8 seconds left on the clock.
Stay there.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot. I think people are kind of overlooking that aspect of it.
I know he's injured right now, but we know, and look, great player, made it work, fabulous life, productive player, great postseason last year. But Bryce Harper treats every at-bat like he's painting the Sistine Chapel.
Yeah. He got called for one yesterday, I think, and it was during a monsoon, and he was trying to get a grip on his bat, and they called it. You're not in the box 8 seconds.
That would be who I would reference to say that it's tougher on the batter.
Yeah.
That would be my reference.
I think so.
And he's not alone. Yesterday, now I know this was college. Yesterday, early in the Ole Miss Maryland game, and it was the Maryland power hitter he rung up
Yeah.
third strike on not being ready.
Yeah, it's gonna be weird. But
Does the ump sell that? I mean, they really go into a big show doing that.
I mean, when you're ringing them up on a clock, why not?
I mean, C.B. Buckner, we know he will.
Oh.
Jay Morgan, your number?
That guy, C.B. Buck. Don't get me started on him.
C.B. Buckner, the new Joe West.
Yeah,
He's
literally.
convinced somebody's paying to watch him come on. Nobody,
not
C.B.
a
nobody.
single person.
At least Joe West can sing. I don't think C.B. Buckner
No,
can
he
do
couldn't.
anything.
Don't give him
Yeah,
the
don't
credit.
give him.
I was at Mike Shannon's one night when he started singing. I told the guy, I
Really?
said, let me clear my tab where I can leave.
That is fantastic.
True story. Joe West came up to me and said, buy me a drink. I said, okay. I said, bartender, set him up what I'm having. He brought him a glass of water.
Oh, man. I'm sure he was happy about that.
Yeah, sure.
My big number today is 42. It's Klay Thompson had 42 points for the Warriors. It is the most in NBA history by a player that did not make a 2-point basket. And I'll tell you what, Bob Ryan is not happy about that stat.
He had a game. That was,
sure did.
That was something to see. Mine's 32, and that is with the start today, 32 postseason tournaments, 32 automatic bids. A lot of these are one-bid leagues.
Mm-hmm.
It's started today in campus sites in the Atlantic Sun. Did y'all know Bellarmine is the defending champ there?
They
I don't
sure
know that,
are.
Well, but they didn't get the bid last year,
because
did they?
they're on that transition period with the NCAA because they came up from D2. They're not eligible for 4 years.
That long?
4 years.
It's that big a penalty.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
But it started on campus sites there, and we mentioned in Vegas, Henderson, Nevada, just right there. That's where the Big West will be. The Mountain West out there, the Pac-12, West Coast, and WAC.
It's a bunch of them. They're all going to Vegas, but it's going to be fun. I don't know. You talked about the campus games. I don't think the North Florida game is on their campus. For some reason, I think that's on a different campus. So I don't know how that will affect.
Yeah, it's a neutral site game I saw, but I looked to see where it was.
Part of the campus,
but
huh?
I don't remember where
I don't know
it was.
why it's not on their campus.
You know, the goofiest non-campus site playoff game in the history of history occurred and happened to the Tigers in the 51 years ago. The Tigers in the Missouri Valley Conference round robin, they beat Louisville both times, but they finished with the same conference record. So who do you think should get the bid?
I think the Tigers if they beat them twice.
Okay, yeah. No, the Louisville's Power and Denny Crum, they begged for a one-game playoff to be held at Vanderbilt, at least winning twice. Shouldn't the Tigers have hosted that at the Mid-South Coliseum? Yes, I'm still bitter.
It sounds like it, but that is interesting.
And Louisville got the win and went on to a Final Four. It was right there for Gene Bartow to go to back-to-back Final Fours, 72 and 73.
Wow, that's incredible. But today
went to the NIT, got beat early by, I think that was Richard Fuquay and those cats at Oral Roberts. A lot of those guys from Chattanooga on that team for Ken Trickey, but Tigers had nothing after that disappointment. Had nothing left.
I've done some reporting. I'm a journalist. It's
There
what
you
I
go.
do. In the Atlantic
Breaking
Sun,
news.
that's right. In the Atlantic Sun, it is a neutral site because they are at whatever gym would host their next game. So Florida Gulf Coast and Queens College, they'll play Kennesaw State, it looks like, their next game. And Bellarmine in North Florida, they will play Liberty in their next game. And so they are at the next game's host site.
Now, y'all know some teams' season, it's over.
Yeah.
Some didn't. Some don't accommodate everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not so sure, especially with these 16 and 18 and 20 growing conferences. I think we need to. There's got to be some cuts.
Yeah.
You didn't do enough.
You didn't do enough. I mean, it's tough to do even.
So we're
14.
talking. So now we're talking bubble for conference tournament season too, not just the NCAA tournament bubble.
I'd rather see that than the NCAA tournament raised to 96.
Me and you both.
Yeah, really. But it's going to be fun the next couple of days as we get some of these conference tournaments started. I know Brett is excited. I'm just as giddy to get some of these conference tournaments started. But let's wrap up this hour, get to a break, and when we come back to start the 5 o'clock hour, we'll get back into the Grizzlies conversation and talk about what else happened in the NBA over the weekend. That's next on Sports Time.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus of Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
At the Home Depot, we know the world is a messy place. Keeping it clean takes science. That's why businesses everywhere have long trusted cleaning products from Ecolab to take on the toughest messes. And now, that level of clean is available for your home. Introducing Ecolab Scientific Clean, a full line of professional-grade cleaning products for all your home's needs, so you can clean like you mean business. Now available exclusively at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Both 650 acquisition fee, 30,000 miles, 20 cents excess mileage, Forte LXS, PE 581,756, MSRP 21,985, Sorrento PG 183,422, MSRP 23,405. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax title and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 2/28/23 with approved credit. Dealer stock only. Warranties are limited. Powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details. Jeff, my man, what's going on over there at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah? Look, I know you got something up your sleeve to blow me away.
You bet I do, Randy. Gas prices are high, but we've got you covered with 41 MPG Highway in your new 2023 Kia Forte LXS at $278 a month, $27.99 due at signing, and a 7-passenger SUV ready to ride in a 2023 Kia Sorrento LX $378 a month, $34.99 due at signing. Both 36-month lease.
Plus peace of mind with Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. And if I don't see exactly what I want,
I'll order it for you, and you won't pay over MSRP. So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
2680 Mount Moriah or KiaMountMoriah.com.
Simple, smooth, and every sip as easy as the last. Tito's handmade vodka tastes just as good with tap water as it does with your favorite mixer. Back in the day, Tito distilled, hand bottled, taste tested, sent to a few friends, then taste tested again to give you the finest juice around. No frills, no flavors, no fancy labels, just the good stuff. Just Tito's. For recipes, videos, and more, visit Tito'sVodka.com.
Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas, 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
Right now is a great time to take advantage of Choate's winter specials by upgrading your furnace, switching to a Rinnai tankless water heater, or getting $50 off air duct cleaning. By now, you most likely have heard of the benefits of UV light technology for your HVAC system. Purchase any new Carrier furnace right now, and we will install one for you at no additional cost. For those who have not installed a tankless water heater yet, what are you waiting on? Stop wasting utilities heating water you do not use and getting frustrated taking cold showers or baths. Right now, when you purchase a Rinnai tankless water heater, Choate's will install one premium toilet for free in your home. And Choate's is offering $50 off its air duct cleaning services. Not only does this service get the years of dust out of your ducts, it also helps the indoor air quality you and your family breathe every day. All these specials qualify for 18 months, no interest financing with approved credit. So call 347-8086 to schedule your free estimate today. Turn to the experts with Choate's and let our family serve your family.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, I want to talk about our seasoning and sauce today. Our sauce is a great blend of sweet, mustard, and vinegar. It's good on so many items other than barbecue. It's good on pizza. People use it in lieu of ketchup. But our seasoning is the original dry rub, created by my father using a mixture of Greek and Cajun spices. People think our sauce and seasoning are good just during the grilling season. Nothing could be further from the truth. It's good year-round. Our seasoning is good on fish, chicken, deviled eggs, corn on the cob, French fries. People even put a dash in a Bloody Mary. To get a complete list of all of our recipes using our products, go to hogsfly.com, click recipes, and you'll see 50 wonderful items and dishes. And Brett, our sauce and seasoning is available at most grocery stores, and if they don't have it, please remind your grocer to stock it. And our slaw is also available at most Kroger stores.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
Ole Miss Rebel Yell is back. The Rebel Yell Hotline Radio Show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Yancey Porter with 24/7 Sports, former Ole Miss defensive tackle Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Ford covering SEC Sports Call, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Darby. From kickoff to free throw to extra innings, your Ole Miss Sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show. Right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56, 560 AM and 98.5 FM. Your Mid-South Sports Station.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253 DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time as we start our third and final hour. And we're going to talk some Grizzlies and the NBA because it was a very eventful weekend in the NBA. But we'll start with the Grizzlies. We talked earlier about their win over Denver at home, a 112-94 victory, a victory that the Grizzlies really controlled the entire game. But a tough stretch coming up. You've got Los Angeles tomorrow night at home. That's the Lakers. And then you go on the road for 4 games. You start with Houston, but then you get Denver, the Clippers, and then the Lakers again. It's going to be a tough road stretch, especially kind of what we've seen them do as of late on the road.
It is, and tomorrow night will really kind of be the path forward for the Lakers. Are they really this hot? That comeback yesterday, I think, signaled to a lot of people, me being one of the doubters, of look out until they lose, because they're so far back and it's so many cars to pass, because there's not that much time left. Wednesday will be March 1. We're down to, give or take around 20 games or so for everybody to play. It might be more for some, a little less for others. So tomorrow night for the Grizzlies, you can kind of end it, certainly with the Grizzlies and the Lakers. I don't think there's any chance that the Lakers jump all the way to the 2, but they will be a tough out for somebody in this present composition. And I don't wish this at all, but don't you feel one more injury coming? And did it happen yesterday? And we don't have more news about it.
They didn't give any, like you said, they didn't give any more news about it today, but it seemed of like a very somber, and it didn't look like what they said was there was no good news.
Right.
And so that doesn't mean there was bad news, but generally if there was no bad news, there would be a little more optimism involved. Say there's no good news, that seems to me like what you just said, maybe the big injuries already happened.
I think you're right, but it's going to be interesting to see kind of what happens with that team. But the biggest news today out of Grizzlies practice is that this was reported by Drew Hill after they talked to everyone and Taylor Jenkins today. Steven Adams has resumed 5-on-5 play. Taylor Jenkins says the team is targeting a return in a range of dates towards the end of the upcoming road trip, which would put you probably around Sunday, March 5th against the Clippers, or Tuesday, March 7th against the Lakers. So it does seem like Steven Adams has remained steady on that course of 3 to 5 weeks.
Okay, fine. So it sounds like maybe we kind of had circled, maybe lightly shaded, outlined, maybe the matchup with Jokic and Denver coming up this Friday night. And we started the show today with, it's hard to believe, this Friday night is March 3rd.
It's incredible. It's insane. So I think you're right. I mean, we wanted it to be Denver. I think, obviously, on the road against Jokic, especially after kind of what you did to them at home, you would love to have Steven Adams back. It doesn't look like that. It could be that. I mean, it said a range of dates, so you never know. But I thought Xavier Tillman did a good job Saturday night in that competition.
He's going to have to do it again coming up Friday night. Lakers tomorrow night to wrap up February, and then Wednesday night road trip at Houston. That's the easiest part of this 11 games, with 2 behind the Grizzlies, 1-1 in that 11-game stretch that Rob Fisher so eloquently kind of alerted us to. I don't know that I was that locked in. I wasn't, and Rob was smart in pointing that out with us a week ago today at this very time about how important this 11 is. Well, two of the 11's behind you,
Mm-hmm.
1-1. I only wanted 6 and 5 out of that.
You already got. Now you're down to 5, and 5 wins left.
Got
so.
Houston that we think's the
Should
easier
be
patch of it.
Can I ask you a question, Bryant? Because
Please.
it's not. I'm not calling you out for anything because I've heard other people say it all day, and I haven't asked it all day, and you just happen to be the one who's like, I wonder why everyone's saying that. Why do you think Xavier Tillman did such a good job on Jokic on Saturday?
Well, so I'll say this. I don't think in terms of he just did a fantastic job and just completely shut him down. But I think given the circumstances that it was, no Steven Adams, you're playing the best center in the game, one of the best centers in the game. I think he held his own. I mean, I think he didn't back down to the challenge.
See,
only had 15.
He only had 15, but he only played 26 minutes too, and that's a testament to the Grizzlies were up by 30. While a lot of that has to do with points off turnovers and transition points as well. But then he played 41 minutes last night and got his own against the Clippers in that game. I don't think I took from the game Saturday. It didn't really give me a ton of confidence, to be quite frank. I think the Grizzlies played well, but there's so many different factors involved in the Nuggets knowing that they have to play a back-to-back these 2 nights. You kind of have to give one of them up. But the Grizzlies were up 30, and they did not. It's not like they gave up before the game started. But I just didn't take from it the confidence that I think everybody else took from it. And I could be wrong about that. Maybe I'm just pessimistic in that regard. But I don't feel very comfortable. I don't feel very comfortable at all going to Denver against that team.
So you think it was a recognition by Denver of let's play the long game and know when to fold them?
Yeah, I do. I think they folded it with like 8 minutes left to go in the third quarter, to be honest with you.
It looked like it. If you were watching the game, it looked like they kind of gave up at that point. But, I mean, yeah, I'm kind of with you. I mean, I don't think you go into and say Tillman played good and we're going to go on the road and, you feel much better in this game. But I think just kind of given everything.
Well, he also went 7 for 11
Yeah,
now. I mean,
true.
that's a high
That's a good
percentage.
point.
And he's also
Yeah.
shooting from the free throw line. He had 13 rebounds to go along with it. I don't think they held – I mean, if you look at the box score and you see the 15 points, in that regard they did hold Jokic in check. But it's not like he was out there missing a lot of shots. Like who was it that they – Embiid. When they came up from the All-Star break, and Embiid started the game 1 of 9. Maybe they were playing good defense on him. Maybe he was just missing shots. Regardless, you could point to his performance and say, wow, he did not have it going against the Grizzlies that night. I'm not sure I can say that about Jokic, albeit he did only finish with 15 points in the game.
And I can alert y'all now, a central Twitter theme until they're knocked out will be the fix is in for the Lakers. The league wants them to advance, and it's why, for many reasons, I like and respect. Don't know him hardly at all. He wouldn't know I'm on Earth, but I like and respect Stephen A. Smith because I saw him on some forum this weekend, and they were on a bunch this weekend, and then right back at it this morning for him. He said, "Yeah, I want the Lakers in it. Makes for better ratings for this company, and that's where my retirement's wrapped up." And he said, and for me, he said, I'd much rather be in Los Angeles than I had to be in Minneapolis.
That's such
Great
a good
point.
point by you, Brett, because of what you're saying. It's not necessarily the fixes in from the league, but people are like, why do they keep talking about the Lakers? Well, the people talking on TV, just like you just referenced Stephen A. saying, they want those people, those eyeballs to be on it. Because even though we would love for our local team, in our case it's the Grizzlies, but anybody's local market, their local team to be playing, that those big companies like the ESPN or the Fox Sports of the world, they have their eyes on the largest markets.
Yeah,
I like the candor. I like the honesty, and people want intriguing matchups. And for the Lakers, they're here on Tuesday. Then on Wednesday, they're in Oklahoma City. That's not an easy back-to-back, and especially with a limping, I heard it pop, LeBron. Then on Friday night, they're at home, and they're at home for a while. What's the stage? What's the point where we will really say, yep, the Lakers are viable. Look out. They really are on the way.
For me, it's right now. I know maybe I'm too early in that regard, but like you just said, they have a long homestand coming up. LeBron's injury is concerning, but they just got D'Angelo Russell playing good basketball. Anthony Davis, before he got hurt, legitimately was playing he had a 20-game stretch where I think he was the best player in the league. Even without LeBron James, I think they can maintain and even gain some spots in the Western Conference. Yes, then at that point, who would you drop out? I think the Jazz might drop out of there at that point. Maybe even the Timberwolves, honestly. I don't it's hard to say who would drop out, but I would be concerned about the Lakers right now, maybe even more so than the Jazz.
Yeah. I would say probably I want to see what happens with this LeBron injury. But I think you're right. I think they have enough pieces to play well without him.
He only plays one of these two back-to-backs, right?
Yeah.
I hope it's the Grizzlies.
If he plays either of them, depending on the injury.
Well, that's a good point, too. He might not play either of them.
But I think best case scenario, yeah, he only plays one. So, they have good players. I love the trades they made at the deadline, but I say give me a week and a half, see kind of what this LeBron injury is looking like, and then we'll see.
Lakers 14 and 18 away from home, the Lakers are, too.
Wow. I didn't know it was like that. Kind of going back to the NBA in general, Eric Pincus, is that how you pronounce his name? I don't know. He reports for Barstool Sports. He put out a story today saying that the NBA could implement a target score like the Elam ending that we've kind of seen them do in All-Star games, stuff like that. The quote he had in it said that would prevent overlong broadcasts and overloading player minutes, like Los Angeles Clippers forward Kawhi Leonard's playing 46 minutes in a double overtime loss to the Sacramento Kings on Friday. Elam ending, what do we think about it?
Not no, but you know what comes after a not no.
Yeah. I would hate it.
Someone reported that?
Somebody from Bleacher Report, because I saw it. It was actually NBA Central who tweeted it out from him. You know what, in NBA Central, they just kind of get everything. They see all the different reports and stuff, and then they'll tweet it out and give the person credit. I didn't believe it the first time I saw it. And then I went and read it, and it's exactly what it said, that they're going to
That's almost as bad as Ghost Runners.
There's no way. Brett, there's no way.
It might be worse than Ghost Runners.
Like, I understand maybe that's floated out from somebody. I'm sure I'm not questioning his sourcing on that. I'm sure he has sources inside the league, certainly more than me, because I have no sources inside the league.
But there's no way that
There's
happens.
no way. That's like a fun thought to talk about on the internet, but there's just no there's no way.
I can think of more fun thoughts to talk about on the internet.
Me too. Literally anything. I mean, there's no way that could possibly happen.
It's
And how would you even make a target score in overtime? So both teams are going to the same number then, because it's tied going into overtime.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
But you also have to win by 2 or 3, so theoretically those games could go on even longer than a double overtime could.
I'm having to be dragged to the in-season tournament.
Yes.
You mean the one for the lottery? Is that what you're talking? Are you talking about? Which one? What in-season tournament?
I didn't know there was more than one.
They talking about one that's teams that are eliminated.
Yeah.
I guess that's a postseason tournament, so that's not an in-season tournament. What is the in-season tournament?
The soccer style,
where it'd be like a late December, early January tournament where either every team or most of the teams are in it, and you play a tournament style, and it's just been one of the things floated out.
What are you playing for?
Money or some trophy? I don't know.
Right. They're I think a big players.
I think
pool.
so.
Here's what I want out of scheduling: 82 games, 41 at home, 41 on the road. Starting date about October 17th, 18th or so. Ending about April 8th or 9th or so, and we play. If you go into quadruple overtime, you play.
Yeah.
I like your thought, Brett.
I like that.
Brett, I think I would like to nominate you as the commissioner of the NBA. Would you accept the task?
I would. Yes,
good, because I would like to nominate you. That's an excellent idea. Certainly better than an Elam ending for overtime. While we're at it, Brett, I would like to nominate you for the baseball commissioner, too, because I like your ideas on both sports more than what's currently being lobbied out there, and in baseball's case, currently what's being done.
So Go ahead, Brett. I'm sorry.
No, you.
So I was kind of reading some more on this reporting about the Elam ending, and it looks like the G League for their because they also play a midseason tournament and also showcases, and so supposedly in their showcase, they played it, and so this is what the G League Elam ending was. This is from a story from ESPN. The G League will also employ the Elam ending format during the annual Las Vegas showcase in December when all 30 teams participate. The fourth quarter of each game will be played to a final target score of 25 points added to the leading team's score after 3 quarters. So that wouldn't be the same.
No, that would be the final score.
That would be the fourth quarter.
But that's also dumb too to cite the cite the G League as first of all, to do regular game is dumb. But to cite the G League as a source of it worked in the G League could play 8 periods of 6 minutes apiece, and no one would bat an eye because God bless the G League. I love Scoot Henderson. I like that the hustler in town, but nobody's watching. No. So what difference does it make what the G League does? How is that a citation you can use?
And that's why I didn't lose my mind over things at AAA baseball, because in the end, it's AAA baseball.
That's right.
But I was scared of the
clock going on.
I was scared of the encroachment, and it never goes away.
Yeah.
I wonder when it first came in 1973. I wonder when the DH was first kind of concocted, when it was first kind of dreamed of. When it was being used, was it being used? And I don't remember it being used in minor league baseball. Like in the late '60s, early '70s. I was going to minor league baseball then, as I called it, Blue Stadium, later to become Tim McCarver Stadium. I was going to Ray Winder in Little Rock, where the Travelers played as the AA affiliate. And I'm not talking about going a lot, but some. And I don't know that I was conscious or not of hey, they got somebody that's not really playing baseball.
Yeah. I don't know. When was the first DH? I'm trying to look it up.
Whose idea was
it?
That
the
person
real
needs
question.
to be found.
The designated hitter idea was raised by Philadelphia Athletics manager Connie Mack in 1906. Though he was not the first to propose it, he was the most notable to propose it.
Interesting.
Crazy. It actually came to be that Babe Ruth.
That's about as bad as his grandson's congressional tenure.
I'm not familiar with that.
It wasn't good.
Sounds bad. I was about to say it doesn't sound good.
Connie Mack also wore a suit in the dugout. No, I don't like. I don't like the DH either. To be quite frank, in both leagues, I don't mind the interleague DH. I kind of like how that worked. But there's a certain inherent strategy. I know I'm now waging a war that I'm never going to win because it's already over.
No, we've lost. I mean,
we've lost.
I mean, there's the point that you've got to admit we've lost, surrender, and no more casualties.
Yeah.
We were talking before the show, too. Now it's become a baseball conversation. We were talking before the show, too, about how many more people are going to watch baseball now that games have gone for 3 hours or 2.5 hours. It's not like it's attracting children. In fact, there's reporting being done right now by sports business people that kids aren't watching any sports, whether they last an hour and a half, 2 hours, or 3 hours for that matter. So it just doesn't make sense to me why there's such an influx of people to try and speed the game of baseball up, because people that watch baseball are watching it already.
And who out there? Okay, I'm not, and I think last year's average baseball game, I think, was 311, 312 or so.
Yeah, somewhere.
NFL's around 307 or so, and so who's watching that last year? I'm not watching at 311, but I'll watch it 240.
And it's a great point by you, and it's also being shown that the downtime of baseball might actually be perfect for today's people that can't stay focused on one thing for that period of time. There's in between pitches, you can take a break for a second, look around, eat your popcorn if you're at the game, take a swig of your beer, or if you look at your phone or whatever the case might be.
Flip it to something else if you're watching on TV.
It's not like it's constantly going on.
Here's one we need to start watching. The length of college basketball and NBA games.
Yeah.
What happened to the 2-hour game?
That's a good point.
Oh, Pete, it's already happening, Brett. I was listening to WFAN a couple weeks ago, and they're talking, well, I'm only going to watch the last 2 minutes of an NBA game anyway, because they could be up 26 at halftime, and someone will come back. Why am I going to watch the rest of the game? I turn it on the last 2 minutes. If it's close, I watch it. I see the end of the game. You can use that rationale for anything, though. Any sport.
All of it, when you're live at the ballpark, at the arena, at the stadium, the length of the game doesn't really get to me. Saturday at the Ole Miss baseball game, I didn't think a single time about what's the time that's elapsing for the game. I get through with the game, and it was almost like 3:40.
Yeah.
With all these changes, that's a long game.
Time.
But
well,
I didn't mind
you're not thinking
company.
about it while
Company
you're there.
was great.
Yeah.
Plenty of action, fun being there. So I didn't think about that. Then on Saturday night at the basketball game, rapidly played game. I'm going to say from tip at 7:30 to the final horn blowing, about 9:20, less than 2 hours.
Wow. Yeah, it's interesting. But also, like, they say you look at some of the games and they're going 2:30, 2:35. But I'm pretty sure the Cardinals game today that was on ESPN, a broadcasted game.
Well, 12 runs, too, though.
That's true. But you're going to get that in baseball. And it was almost 3 hours. I think it was like 2:57, 2:59. So, it's not going to be 2:30 every single time out. Still
but we
baseball.
know who's really worried about it, with the powers that be. And we also know one of the things that add to the length, and there's not anything that's going to change about that because you have to have the rights fees. They have to make money to pay these exorbitant contracts. We're not cutting commercials out.
One, I think that's what this all boils down to. They can say it's fans and everything, but I think it's, hey, let's get this on television and so we can push advertisement. If it's 3.5 hours, people aren't going to watch that, but if it's 2.5 or
I just
whatever.
want everything to start on time. My biggest thing is not starting on time. That 7 o'clock listed Grizzlies game that we know is really 7:10. Then list the damn thing at 7:10.
like baseball does. Honestly, all these changes to baseball, fixing the sport as it were, including making the bases larger. It's crazy. It's crazy. Baseball's even been able to exist for 146 years with smaller bases.
How did we?
How did it? It's crazy. I can't believe we were played with smaller bases.
Yeah, and in wool uniforms.
Yeah. Oh man.
Bring the wool uniform.
No
back.
helmets. We wore caps. And people
no gloves.
And the
no batter's gloves.
No gloves. And the managers were in suits and and brim caps or brim hats.
Goofy Connie Mack.
Oh, love it.
It's crazy, and nothing.
What do you ever
change.
win?
We're gonna
nothing
really. But we're gonna see. We're gonna keep seeing the delays and the.
I want everyone to be in the attire like in The Natural, where he's got his regular cap on and he hits the home run and the lights explode. That's what I want baseball to be. That's my view of baseball.
That's your baseball.
I think Connie Mack's grandson later married Mary Bono on the rebound after Sonny.
Really?
Wow.
Congressman Mary Bono. I think so. May have to check that. But his congressional tenure was about as bad as his granddad in the dugout.
That's exactly right. Connie Mack IV married Sonny Bono's ex-wife.
Interesting.
How's that?
Pulled that one out of nowhere, Brett. I love it.
Sonny Bono on the rebound.
But we do have some breaking news. It does look like the Lakers say LeBron James is out for tomorrow night's game against the Grizzlies.
Oh, that's terrible for so many people. That the one and only Laker appearance at FedEx Forum all year, that is sad for so many people in and around this area wanting to go to that game and see that is too bad.
Mm-hmm. Some of the other Lakers status report: D'Angelo Russell is doubtful, and Anthony Davis is probable. So,
I hate that. I wanted to see, and that game got moved to 6:30. We really don't know what time they really tip. Is that really 6:40? What is? Or is it tied at 6:30 since that's TNT now? Who knows? Which I just can't stand. Baseball, even Brian, at AutoZone Park, I will text you.
Oh man,
why are we starting 5 minutes late?
Especially in AAA games, like. Whatever.
Especially.
MLB can be a different conversation, but this is AAA minor league baseball. If it says 7 o'clock, start the game at 7 o'clock.
Whatever you have to do, whoever you have to introduce, if that game's supposed to start at 7,
first pitch
you have
7.
You start your introductions at 2 that afternoon. When those umpires pop out at 6:55, that used to mean 5 minutes to first pitch. It drives me crazy. When one night last year at AutoZone Park, the game was delayed because they forgot to put the rosin bag out, and they were scurrying around looking for the rosin bag.
Oh, they couldn't find it. Oh, that was miserable.
Shouldn't the rosin bag be where somebody left it the night before when the game was over?
Let's figure out at the very least where the rosin bag is.
It shouldn't be that difficult. This hour of our show brought to you every day by the great people Down in DeSoto County at DeSoto Auto Sales, go online to DeSotoAutoSales.com and look at all the beautiful cars and read all the referrals from all the very, very pleased customers through the years. They're at 5704 Goodman Road. And again, online at DeSotoAutoSales.com. All the cars test-driven, checked out thoroughly, bumper to bumper, head to toe, unlimited inventory of every make and every model. By chance, if they don't have it on the lot, they'll find that car for you through all their contacts. No shortcuts at DeSoto Auto Sales. You walk in and you're treated like family by kind, courteous employees, laid-back atmosphere, down-home environment that they care about your time and want you to enjoy the ultimate car experience. What is that? Well, they know we live in a world today where time really matters. That's why they've got it so efficient and so streamlined and really so very simplified. Find the car you want, test drive that car, credit approved, paperwork completed, you're out of there in 45 minutes or less. It's a guarantee at DeSoto Auto Sales at 5704 Goodman Road and online at DeSotoAutoSales.com. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience at DeSoto Auto Sales.
Let's get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk about what's trending.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Moving is stressful, but Black Tie Moving can take the worry out of the process. Whether you're moving across town or across country, moving your home or your office, your personal moving concierge from Black Tie Moving will work with you to design a plan that perfectly fits your budget and needs. And they're available 24/7 to answer any questions you have. Give Black Tie Moving a call at 901-316-6196 or go to blacktiemoving.com/Memphis to get your personal, no-obligation quote from the moving experts at Black Tie Moving.
Folks are falling head over heels for these wheels and deals at DeSoto Auto Sales. It's the season of love. They're on a mission to help you meet your match. So if you've fallen out of love with your old ride, or other dealers have left you brokenhearted, get ready to fall head over heels for their wheels and deals. DeSoto Auto Sales has a solution for every situation. Low monthly payments? No problem. Low down payments? You could drive away for just a couple of bucks down. Trade-ins? DeSoto Auto Sales is paying way more than it's worth, and you could even lower your monthly payment in the process. Broken up over past credit mishaps? DeSoto Auto Sales credit approval process is the best matchmaker. DeSoto Auto Sales will hook you up with banks and lenders who want to approve you. It's time to fall in love, Mid-South, because you'll go head over heels for these wheels and deals when you drive off the lot in your new car for less. But hurry, this deal will fade away faster than first love. See all the wheels and deals at DeSotoAutoSales.com. That's DeSotoAutoSales.com.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. In these uncertain economic times, there are so many things as a contractor and a business owner that I cannot control. The rising cost of materials, not to mention fuel and transportation costs. In the last 2 years, shingle prices have almost doubled and commercial materials have doubled. And I don't have to tell you what fuel costs these days. But you know what I can control? How much markup I put on a project. I have always prided myself in knowing I never gouge a customer. But in an effort to ensure my crews have work and my customers are being treated fairly, I have lowered my profit margin, hoping to give you a price you can live with and keeping my crews busy. So if you need a roof or gutters, please give us a call. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. Fiveash Roofing, a proud sponsor of Tiger Athletics and a member of the Tigers home team. 367-0050 or MemphisRoofer.com. 367-0050 or MemphisRoofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
When someone says, let's meet at the bar, what they mean is, let's meet at Bell Tavern. They sure don't mean, let's meet at a chain where it's loud, impersonal, and the food consists of things that were frozen a minute before you ordered it. No, they mean, let's meet at Bell Tavern, because Bell Tavern is the opposite of those things. Bell Tavern is where you go to have a conversation, maybe make some new friends, and have the best bar food in Memphis. The next time you want to have a drink and spend some quality time in a bar, the only place to meet is Bell Tavern.
Bartlett Small Engine has been serving quality power equipment since 1970. They have a full line of power equipment, parts, and services for most makes and models. Bartlett Small Engines has the best brands in the power tool industry: Honda mowers, trimmers, and generators, Steel blowers, trimmers, and chainsaws, Echo trimmers, blowers, and chainsaws, plus quality products from Red Mat and Shindawa. And they're all American made. Bartlett Small Engine is your can-do store. 6780 Summer Avenue. Call 901-386-9779.
It may be cold, but the Gossett Mitsubishi Spring Sales Event will heat you up. Discover a new way to ride in your 2023 Mitsubishi Mirage and get 39 MPG combined for $17,520 or $289 a month and 0 down. And check out 2023 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport for $29 a month, 29 MPG Highway, or get 2.9 for 36 months. Want peace of mind? We Gossett with Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. 2023 Mitsubishi Mirage, $289 per month. 2023 Outlander Sport, $429 per month. You won't go wrong ever when you shop Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike, or shop online at memphismitsubishi.com. You want it? We Gossett at Gossett Mitsubishi.
If you want it, we Gossett at Gossett Motor Cars.
Mirage PHW 2846, MSRP 18020, Sport PU 2230, MSRP 29545, includes all rebates and incentives, PF 695, excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 2/28/2023. Dealer stock only.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time as we've got less than 30 minutes left on this Monday edition of Sports Time. We've talked a lot of college basketball today because, I mean, we're right there on it.
Time of year.
2 days, it's March, and it's March Madness. So we're really coming down to the crunch time. Conference tournaments start today, and they'll be going on all the way till next Sunday. So it's really an exciting time, but definitely college basketball season.
I'm buried under a sea of brackets. I like all these brackets. I like all the intrigue. We know a lot of the starting times are just a dream, especially those second session games. The first games usually go off on time. I said earlier today I have two teams that I'm that I'm working toward the middle, Houston and UCLA. I picked both in my preseason Final Four, so I'm not just hanging with them for the heck of it. They're right there.
Right.
And if those two teams got to the finals, I know mostly just old jokers like me would appreciate it and like this. But if they got to the finals at NRG Stadium, that literally sits right by the Astrodome, that's still functional, they still use it for stuff, it dwarfs it too.
Yeah.
And the first time I saw the Astrodome, summer of 1969, was the most marvelous architectural thing I'd ever laid eyes on from Widener, Arkansas. I can promise you, it sits right by it, dwarfs it. And that arena, that dome, when Elvin Hayes played Lou Alcindor, when Guy Lewis and the Houston Cougars met UCLA and John Wooden, on TV, Eddie Einhorn on Ms. Lou, it kind of the early version, not pay-per-view because it was over there broadcast, but people would pick it up, various affiliates around the country. That launched the modern era of the TV age of maybe even sport. And I said this on Ole Miss pregame at the Texas Bowl and said it later, a week or so later with Bruce Marshall on a Friday, that Houston really gave us a lot of trailblazing things in sports, whether it was boxing or Billie Jean King versus Bobby Riggs in that made-for-TV event. But Elvin Hayes and Houston against UCLA and Lou Alcindor later, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, that was something. And that's what I've got is my two best teams. Do y'all have two teams yet?
I've got two. You want me to go first?
Go first, Jay. No, you got it.
I've got the Tennessee Volunteers. I know I say that all the time, but I really do have a hunch, and I'm not just saying it to stand by what I'm saying this week. In a similar vein to why you like Houston, Brett, I trust that one of the few consistencies I've seen in college basketball this year is Tennessee's defense, and I'm going to ride with that take in that I think that matters more this season than ever before and will continue to matter a lot more because I just don't think offenses are as good as they used to be. On the other side of that coin, I'm going to take Gonzaga. the best offense statistically in terms of offensive rating in college basketball. They're playing very good basketball right now. We like to talk about here, especially here in Memphis, with how impressed we were with Memphis's game against Alabama. Gonzaga had to play Alabama and won in a quote-unquote neutral site game that they played at Legacy Arena in Birmingham, 45 minutes away from Alabama's campus. That is not a neutral site game, and Gonzaga won that game. So they have played tough games, albeit playing in a weaker conference. St. Mary's is good too. They just beat them up at their home court. Gonzaga's offense is really good, and I think their defense is better than they get credit for too, because they play at such a pace where they're scoring a lot of points. They're giving up a lot of points. It's just the way it goes. So those would be my two that I think might meet in the championship.
And your little off the radar theory around Gonzaga that you've advanced that I really like. I had 10 in the preseason. I had UCLA, Houston, Tennessee, and Texas as my Final Four. I didn't know how the seeding would end up. So I'm not that opposed to that. I do think the addition of the players being back for Tennessee helps. Brian, you got any that you want to move to the middle now, regardless of how the bracket looks 2 weeks from today?
Yeah, I've got two, and I'm gonna stick right where Jay just left off with Gonzaga as my one of my teams, because I think, like he said, offensively they are one of the best teams in the country. I do think their defense is better than people give them credit for. People forget this was a preseason top 5 team in the country. And, I know, point to North Carolina, what have they done now? But, this is a Gonzaga team that added a lot from the transfer portal. You saw in those first couple months they just weren't meshing together like a lot of people thought they would. And I think they're meshing better now. They're playing better. Putting up almost 100 points in, 3 of their last 5 games? 108, 97, 97, and then 77 against St. Mary's. I know people are going to say that's the conference. They're playing weak opponents. But that's nothing to sneeze at, putting up 100 points. And then for my second team, barring anything crazy in the next 2 weeks, which could...
That's the kind of thing you say in a movie or TV show right before something terrible happens.
Alabama. I think,
But a lot could happen.
So it worked out well what I just said
exactly,
then, yeah.
Because something could very easily hit the fan and kind of throw this whole season off for them. But when you look at them, what they've done on the court, they have been one of the best teams in the country all season long. They have one of the best defenses in the country. They have a top 20 rated offense. So I like what they've done. And, if barring anything crazy, which...
That's the line they use in Seinfeld right before everything goes terribly wrong is, barring any unforeseen circumstances. That's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's when it happens.
Yeah, so Alabama's my second team.
Saturday, did Alabama, did they make or not make players available post-game?
I'll look it up. I can't imagine. There's no way.
I don't think they did.
No way.
You would have seen a quote from somebody, I'm sure, especially after the pregame.
Oh, especially after the gun thing.
Yeah,
oh, no way. No way.
There's no way they let anybody talk.
We know they didn't at South Carolina, but at home after a 3-point win over Arkansas, and again, Nick Smith saw that. He was right there with. I think his point total was the same as Brandon Miller Saturday.
Oh, both of those guys were awesome in that game. But, like Jay was saying
they did
last
not,
week,
Brett. They did not.
So, this now 2 games they haven't made players available. How long
can you do that?
Exactly.
Because I know at SEC tournaments, usually, no matter what, you come to that day as win or lose. If you lose, you only have to do it. Maybe you'll have to do it in defeat once. But if you win, you keep having to make an appearance. And at the NCAA tournament, I can't imagine the NCAA letting them having that pass. They even have the availability after the practices on Tuesday and Wednesday leading up to Thursday, Friday games, or Wednesday, Thursday leading up to Friday games. They can't duck the media forever.
Well, because this is all Alabama's SID saying we're not giving any players. Once you get to even the conference tournament, I think the conference will say, no, we're getting players.
They should.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think they might get away with it till the NCAA tournament. Seriously.
Really?
I think they might. Unless they win the tournament, maybe they talk after they win the conference tournament. I can see that scenario.
But you know what? And this is easy for me. This is really easy for me to say since I'm not going to be there, and I have no skin in the game whatsoever. Let's say Alabama keeps this veil of secrecy, no talking. They even keep it through the SEC tournament. somehow, some way they keep it through the early rounds of the NCAA tournament, but I can't imagine. But let's say they do.
Sure.
They win it all. I would beg every single media member, walk out. If you don't talk before now, there's not a damn thing I want to hear from you now. Get up and walk out.
You know they won't do that, but I'm with you. I mean, it's especially. I mean,
well, we're going to get these fluffy quotes.
Yeah,
about,
exactly.
Nothing like one shiny moment, is it?
That's right.
No,
they all say the same thing every year.
Wow, that's so sad. Looking more, I'm sorry. I'm reading this while you guys are talking about not making the players available.
You're the reporter today,
and yeah, I'm journalist. Big J. It was senior day for Alabama.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
So they had a senior. Let me double check on that. But that's what it says here. It was senior day. They do play Auburn on Wednesday, so I'm surprised. Maybe it's just because it was a weekend game. It was senior day for Alabama, and the kid didn't get to talk to the media after his senior day, starting and playing minutes for the first time in his career.
Or for my media brethren. So either they boycott, blacklist them, don't talk, or this. We're not here to talk one shiny moment. We're not here to talk about your 6-game run. This is what we want to answer.
Yeah, we've been wanting to ask questions all the time. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I just don't know how long you can get away with this. I mean, we'll see what happens in conference tournament, or if maybe they do something these last 2 games. I'd be surprised. But we kind of mentioned it earlier and I know we only have a couple minutes, but that pregame pat down on Brandon Miller, it kind of confused me because Nate Oates after the game said they've been doing it all season. You know, it was just kind of poor choice and not kind of realizing the situation. But the thing that kind of stuck out to me is if they've been doing that all season, what if somebody caught it before the South Carolina game, right after it happened? I mean, that would have seemed more prevalent. That maybe all the reporters weren't at that game. It was a road game. People weren't paying attention. But I don't know. That just kind of stuck out to me as.
Well, it did to me too. Just the bad form that's out there in every appearance of Nate Oates. And again, like I started with way back when with my not top story of the day, he just knows nothing going on.
Nothing.
It's all news to him.
Yeah. It's incredible.
I have a dissenting opinion. Not that I think it was good what they did, because I don't, but I was at a place where my phone was buffering, and so the caption on the video said, this is thoughtless by Alabama. Like, you could tell that they did something that was going to be offensive. And I had to sit there for like a good 5 minutes or so trying to guess what it was going to be because the video wouldn't load. And I was like, it's going to be something with a gun. Like, he pulled out a gun. Maybe they did like a shooting motion. Like when guys shoot threes, they'll pretend like they shot a gun
Gilbert
or something.
Arenas did here.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, but he actually had one.
He did.
But pretend like they shot a gun or something. And so when I saw the video and saw it was just a pat down, I wasn't as concerned about it, but that's only because my expectations were
so high
that he looked like he had an actual gun. That being said, I still understand why it's extremely disrespectful and just like totally tone deaf. But at the same time, my expectations made it as such. I was like, that's not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I get that. Because, I mean,
it's still not good.
It's not good, but it happens a lot. You see that kind of in pregame. When you come out, you do the pat down. That happens
How about
a
cutting
lot.
it out?
Yeah, how about not do any of it? That's a great point, Brett. Do you know how many different handshakes people have? I watch a baseball game. They got a different one with every single
player.
guy as they come into the dugout.
Yes.
Pick a different one.
Pick a different one. And in this situation, I mean,
Try
realize
something
what's
different.
going on. I mean, it's not that hard. Someone should have, even if it was going on all season, someone's got to come up to him and say, hey, you do realize we can't do that right now. Like,
About game
change
5,
that.
somebody should have said, this isn't cool.
Maybe we should change that up just a little bit. But it's weird, and I'm sure something will come out. What's their next game? You said Auburn at home?
Wednesday, yeah.
So
Auburn at Coleman.
Who knows? Who knows what happens then? But let's get to our next break, our final break of the day, and when we come back, it'll be time for Taco Bell Crunch Time.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus of Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Make your next grill your last with the Big Green Egg. Smoke, bake, roast, sear, and grill, all with a lifetime warranty. Ceramic will not rust, but will provide the best radiant heat, keeping your food crisp on the outside and juicy on the inside. Step your flavor up with 100% natural lumpwood charcoal. Never have to add charcoal or wood during a cook again, and save money by reusing Big Green Egg lumpwood charcoal. Enjoy cooking temperatures below 200, above 700, and anywhere in between with ease. The Big Green Egg is ready to cook in only 10 to 15 minutes. Just ask Big Green Egg users how great the food is. Satisfaction has been our recipe for success since 1974, and our customers are our biggest testament. Come taste the difference with Big Green Egg and make your next grill your last. Available at Hamilton's Fireplace, East Memphis Ace, Cordova Ace, Germantown Hardware, and Garden Spas and Pool.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Brian Elder Roofing, 867-0303. You've known the name for 30 years. You might even remember him from nearly 20 years on Kix 106 as half of the Young and Elder Show. Now, 13 years later, Brian Elder is the largest purchaser of Owens Corning shingles in Memphis. Call him right now, 867-0303. Certified and trained by Owens Corning to earn a reputation for quality and expertise matched by no one. Don't let them tell you it has to be replaced when all it needs is a repair. Call right now, 867-0303. He'll climb every inch of your roof. He'll go into your attic and run a moisture and ventilation test using state-of-the-art equipment to make certain you're protected from mold and other contaminants. You may be causing respiratory problems for your family and not even know it. We're waiting for your call, 867-0303 or BrianElderRoofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Texting enrolls you into reoccurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone. I went through it a while back. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The patented key ingredient is something called Testofen, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. At work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text JUDGE to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text JUDGE to 321-321. That's JUDGE to 321-321.
Products and statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or illness.
Both 650 acquisition fee, 30,000 miles, 20 cents excess mileage, Forte LXS, PE 581,756, MSRP 21,985, Sorrento PG 183,422, MSRP 23,405. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 2/28/23 with approved credit. Dealer stock only. Warranties are limited. Powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details. Jeff, my man, what's going on over there at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah? Look, I know you got something up your sleeve to blow me away.
You bet I do, Randy. Gas prices are high, but we've got you covered with 41 MPG Highway in your new 2023 Kia Forte LXS at $278 a month. $27.99 due at signing, and a 7-passenger SUV ready to ride in a 2023 Kia Sorrento LX $378 a month. $34.99 due at signing. Both 36-month lease.
Plus peace of mind with Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. And if I don't see exactly what I want,
I'll order it for you, and you won't pay over MSRP. So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
2680 Mount Moriah or KiaMountMoriah.com.
Attention homeowners, it's February at Conway Services. Now is the perfect time to replace that old inefficient HVAC system with a new energy-efficient heating and cooling system from Conway. For a limited time, you'll receive a free furnace with select new cooling systems, plus a free Nest thermostat. Visit conwayservices.com for details, terms, and conditions. License number 64210, 64365 EAS, MS 19668.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin, this baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
Brett, what I learned today, we talked about it on Friday, that Coach Vitello for Tennessee was suspended for the 3-game series over the weekend against Dayton. Well, they said that they were going to give an update on Monday, and that update came earlier today. A statement they put out said, "We are pleased to announce that Coach Vitello has completed his 3-game suspension. He will be back in the dugout leading our baseball team tomorrow. We are also thrilled that Maui Ahuna's eligibility has been reinstated, and he is available to join Tennessee's active roster effective immediately." So it sounds like the speculation we were having on Friday about this probably has something to do with their star incoming shortstop not being eligible. I think we were probably right on that.
Yeah, I think that was right there. In Tennessee, better safe than sorry on eligibility and stuff, and that always kind of gets you cred with NC if you're ahead of things. So I guess job well done by Danny White and the powers that be with that. The headline screamed a little louder than probably the real infraction. I learned Tigers basketball next year. Learned a lot of scheduling news yesterday. Some I can't confirm, but I know this, that next year the Battle for Atlantis will be Thanksgiving week. It'll be November 22nd. That's a Wednesday, Thursday the 23rd, and Friday the 24th at Paradise Island in the Bahamas. The 8 teams in the tournament, the Tigers, the Razorbacks, Michigan, North Carolina, Stanford, Texas Tech, guns up, Jay Morgan, Villanova, and Northern Iowa. I was also told yesterday next year's schedule will be a blockbuster. There are things being worked on, and I think everybody will be in agreement of and look forward to. Of course, some of that's got to be played on the road, but I think it mostly will be road and home, not neutral like Auburn's been. I think people will love the names on it. I can't really confirm all that, but I do know about the Battle for Atlantis. It's been out there for a while.
Yeah.
That is some field.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun field, and it's going to be a fun tournament. It's always a good one, but I'm glad that the Tigers are finally in it. What I could have done without, Bobby McCain was released by the Commanders earlier today. Bobby McCain, who played his college ball at the University of Memphis, started with Miami, got a lot of run with the Dolphins, and then this year was a key contributor to that defense in Washington, but they release him. He's only 29 years old, so I'm hoping that he can kind of bounce back on his feet somewhere and kind of still get a shot with another team for a couple more years.
He was a rookie in 15 or 16 with Miami.
He was drafted in 2015.
So he's got a lot of years in. He's in the good retirement queue, but I hope still has a lot left. Fantastic player in that 2014 season. It really turned Tiger football around. Could have done without now this foot injury for LeBron James, and the news he's going to be out tomorrow night. I know a lot of disappointed people. It always attracts a lot of people near and far to circle the game. The only Memphis appearance this year for the Lakers and for LeBron, unless we see him in the playoffs. Too bad for that because so many people planning for that tomorrow night. That's a shame.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And what we're going to keep an eye on tonight, not a ton of action in college basketball, but we got the A-Sun starting tonight, Florida Gulf Coast versus Queens, Bellarmine versus North Florida, and then also later tonight, Baylor at Oklahoma State.
A good one with North Carolina at FSU.
Yeah.
FSU with their win of the year beating Miami on Saturday, but also Baylor and Oklahoma State must win for the Pokes there. And Iowa State, they host West Virginia. Big for both. How many from the Big 12? 8 or 9? We'll see.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun next 2 weeks for college basketball as we get into the conference tournaments. But that's all the time we have. Also in the NBA, we got Heat and 76ers on NBA TV. But that will do it for us today. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow.